In an apartment in the middle of the city, a man sitting on the couch looks at a picture frame. Inside it is a photo of a smiling young man on a sunny day with a lighthouse in the background. Without showing any emotion, the man says he didn't expect the first news he hear about the person in the photograph in 5 years would be an obituary. He remembers that 3 years ago, his mother already knew about the young man's terminal illness and used the rest of her life trying to find her son. She had been dealing with health problems for a while, but now rests in a better place. The man looks at piles of papers on the table, all related to his brother's disappearance, and angrily crumples one of the missing person posters. Apathetic, he slowly closes the door to the house, leaving the crumpled paper behind on the table. He gave up on trying to find his younger brother and left Korea after volunteering to be deployed to Africa. On the plane, now in uniform, the man looks out the window while thinking there will certainly be no reason to return to his home country. But at home, after the memories, he opens a box. Inside it, a pocket watch and a photo of a young man wearing medieval armor. These were the items his brother was holding when he was found. Looking at the photo, the man asks if he was taking part in a movie. The watch makes him curious, but he soon remembers it was a gift he gave his brother, wishing him luck for his high school entrance exams. When he turns the object over, engraved letters appear along with a few scratches. His memories of that day return, with his brother thanking him for the gift and saying he really needed a watch. Laughing, the young man asks if he likes it and what he thinks about the gesture, saying it's way more stylish than a digital watch. Laughing, the older brother asks what the inscription Ka means since those are his initials, but he doesn't get it and says it's his name. But it's wrong. It should be Cha, not Ka. Realizing the mistake, the young man asks him to give it back so he can ask to have it fixed immediately, but the younger one says it's fine and he'll keep the watch. The man shows a sad smile as he remembers that day and how his brother said that if he ever had to write his own name, he'd just write Ka. Slowly, he closes the pocket watch, but a sound comes from the object. This makes him curious, and he opens it again, wondering if it's broken as he sees the hand seems to have moved erratically. At that moment, a voice says, "To my brother who is holding this journal someday." The man quickly stands up, surprised to hear that. The voice continues, "At the moment you're holding this, I'm surely no longer part of this world." Confused, he looks at the watch again, certain it's not an auditory hallucination and that there's nothing installed in the object. More words follow, apologizing for the trouble caused and explaining that he only wanted some medicine to treat their mother, and that thinking he could return quickly, he ended up drifting away like that, making the man see the back of his younger brother reflected in his eyes. On October 9th, 2013, a message appeared on a phone. Even though it was strange, the message only asked if he wanted to participate in something. A young man watches his mother lying in a hospital bed and knows he would have ignored that message, but seeing his mother in that bed, what made him change his mind was thinking that maybe it could be true. After that day, the young man began to have strange dreams. On the 12th day of the same month and year, he was certain it wasn't a dream, but reality in a world of elves and dwarves, orcs, trolls, and dragons. And in the middle of it all stood the Tower of the Sun God, and rumors said that if someone conquered the obelisk, that person would become a god. However, the young man was interested in the medicine that could cure everything, which was inside the tower in the form of an elixir, and the diary begins to narrate the adventure. On October 28th, I formed a team with people who had the same goal, and thus we began to climb the tower, but that is no world for games. A few days later, I decided to run away from home, knowing I would have to fend for myself for 6 months, and with that, I cut my connection with the real world. December 1st, the name of the team is Archia, and we were the best in every way. September 7th, 2014, the conquest rate was lower than expected, and it might take another year. November 11th of the same year, a conflict with a high-level clan happened, and the conquest rate hit a major obstacle. February 31st, the two sides couldn't reach an agreement and declared war. Days and years passed, and an enemy clan we had allied with was destroyed in the flames of war. March 4th of the following year, I found someone I love. These memories and stories passed like films on small screens in front of the man, leaving him even more confused and surprised. September 19th, 2016, another war broke out. January 2nd of the following year, the conflict continues, leaving everyone exhausted. June 7th, a traitor appeared and discord emerged within the clan, and now everyone suspects each other. The following month, my body was heady, and I was addicted. October 30th, half the clan left. We are losing the war, and my body is slowly deteriorating. November 1st, the woman I loved betrayed and abandoned me, and that made my body start to rot. Without Danta, I miss you, brother. February 1st, 2018, I am the only one left in Artia, and I wonder where everything began to go wrong. February 28th, I finally got the elixir, but I can't send it home because I'm surrounded by enemies. It was in that moment that I understood there was only one person in the world who would be by my side, but I cannot show weakness to these people, my enemies. The young man's voice continues to speak. That's why I left this diary. I'm sure that if you, my brother, hear everything, you'll take the elixir and give it to our mother. The man holds the watch while trembling, after hearing that entire story that spanned years in his younger brother's life. Slowly, he rewinds the watch and starts to hear the message left behind once more. Day turns to afternoon and soon to night, and during all that time, he listens to the story over and over. Silent in the dark room, the man only watches the watch, but something catches his attention and surprises him. A screen appears saying, beginning succession. Something in his body begins to change. White dots appear and soon transform into veins all over his body. Mana, the power that the tower and the people from the other world possess. This change is painful and brings agony to the man, who endures it as silently as he can. The message starts playing again, the one he had heard before. The man sees his brother smiling among several people, crying as he lies on the ground. Even a dirty sword appears, leading him to see the young man equally filthy and worn from war, with hollow eyes staring at a silhouette. A new message says the awakening is complete. A window appears saying that the succession process is incomplete and must be finished once the body is perfected, with progress at 5%. Another screen completes the first, saying his current condition is that of an incomplete solution. The man is shocked to see all of this, and in the darkness of the house, the window shines with more messages. About the abilities of his body that are partially developed, his nature has been discovered, abilities have been added, and he can now register in the obelisk. He now understands what happened to his younger brother, why someone drove him to his own end, and why he came back in that state after 5 years. Furious, the man decides that he will avenge him and, by following the rules of that world, will give everyone the same suffering his brother endured. Yenwu looks at the status screen and concludes that it really feels like a game, and understands that after awakening, his body would adjust, but his stats are low. A window describes the cold blood trait, making our hero immune to spells and abilities that affect the mind, and ensuring he remains rational no matter what happens. A screen displays the dragon visual prowess ability, which reveals part of the abilities of anything. It might be a leftover from the contract with Kalatus. Heightened senses drastically enhances all 5 senses, and our hero believes he gained it because it works well with his nature. But what truly caught his attention was the last one, clairvoyance, which makes him wonder if it's probably related to that watch. Our hero decides to move forward with what he has received, and even knowing that his brother only wanted him to find the elixir and quietly disappear, Yenwu believes he won't be able to do that. Our hero walks down the streets while hearing someone ask what he means by suddenly wanting to have dinner together. But concerned, the person asks if Yenwu is okay and if he wants to talk about something, saying that if he comes over now, yet apologizing, our hero hangs up the call. After that, he throws the phone into a trash can, knowing that he has now settled his affairs by putting the house up for sale, burning his military uniform and his backpack. He bought a new backpack and filled it with some clothes, rations, a few knives like the ones he used, and a first aid kit. Our hero wanted to get a gun or explosives from the black market, but if he couldn't find more ammunition, it would all be a waste of time. Arriving at a park, Yenwu wonders if the first round has already been going for about a week. Those who start late gain time-based advantages, and the closer they get to surpassing the first place, the more they gain, and there are secrets for newcomers to use. Fiddling with the watch, our hero is sure that one of these hidden things should be appearing now. A black mist begins to gather in the sky. Violently, the entire dark mass crashes into the ground in front of Yenwu, revealing a black medieval-style door. Our hero is determined to make the people on the other side know who they're dealing with. From now on, he concludes in thought as he steps toward the white light revealed after the door opens. He crosses the black gate and enters the light, confirming that he is Cha Yenwu. Blinded by the intense brightness, a window pops up, stating he has just entered floor 0 where the tutorial begins. After a while, our hero finally opens his eyes, knowing he has finally arrived. In a vast corridor with magical lights at the center of the ceiling, exactly as he saw in the journal. The tower has an entrance for players who receive the chance to become a god, and to climb it, they must prove themselves qualified. Each one is tested in the tutorial. Our hero knows that beyond this place are the people who hurt his younger brother, and he asks them to wait a bit because he'll be there soon. Yenwu checks his backpack, knowing that to enter the tower he must beat the tutorial and get a high score, but his goal is only first place, as well as all the hidden pieces that are there, and he needs as many as possible to improve his imperfect status, and to climb the tower, he must be well prepared. Someone starts laughing, seeing there's a visitor at this hour, having thought he wouldn't meet him, and that our hero would just walk away. Yenwu notices a being appear in front of him and takes a combat stance, holding his knives in front of him. A goblin in a suit starts speaking, saying that no matter how generous he is, if our hero shows that kind of attitude, he'll get upset and asks him to put the weapons away. With a smile, the creature introduces himself as Ibolkara, the manager of Floor 0, and maybe it's destiny that they meet this way. The goblin asks if Yenwu trusts him, and is told that tips from the manager might be disposable, but he'll remember them well. Ibolkara is relieved to see that our hero somehow knows about them, which will make talking easier, though he thought Yeonwoo was shy because of the mask. He begins explaining that the tutorial is divided into 7 blocks, from A to G, and each session has its own environment with different challenges that must be completed. The score will be determined based on the time taken and how the challenges were completed, and in the end, all scores will be added together to reveal the final result. The benefits of high scores will be better rewards in the future, and with a laugh, the goblin is sure he explained it very well to Yeonwoo. He asks how much time he has, and is informed that he'll have 1 month, and how he distributes his time in each block is up to him, the player. They've already been in this round for a week, which makes the floor manager ask what our hero wants to do, whether he wants to wait for the next round. Yeonwoo knows the best are already far ahead, so much so that it would be impossible for a rookie to catch up to them. Ibolkara recommends that when he tries to finish a block, it's better to team up with 3 to 5 people. But our hero asks if that's the case, then those who go solo will probably be able to get much higher scores. The goblin smiles and replies that the tower encourages teamwork and that the more you contribute, the more worthy you will be of recognition, but scores will be given individually. Our hero starts warming up while the manager knows that this type of player usually has 2 outcomes. They're either too arrogant and end up perishing, or they become amazing with a snap of his fingers. He says if that's what Yeonwoo wants, then the tests will begin immediately. A screen appears saying that the test of floor 0 has started, and that this is the test for the rookie trying to climb the tower to become a god. He must prove he has what it takes to do that, and the goal is to achieve a high score within the time limit. The goblin disappears after saying goodbye, and the timer begins to count down the remaining time for the test. At that moment, our hero advances through the corridor. Yeonwoo finally takes his first step to begin the first trial and thus steps past the white line. A message appears saying that he has entered Block A and must destroy or disarm all the traps in the area. A white arrow of light curves in midair and surprises our hero by grazing his arm. He remembers while dodging with rolls that the journal said Block A has many traps, but their location and triggers are unknown, making that information useless. After dodging a few, several arrows quickly shoot toward Yeonwoo's backpack. They hit the target with enough force to push him backward. Some even pierce the backpack enough to come out the other side, making our hero tense as he sees the metal arrows. This makes Yeonwoo decide to move while pressed against the walls to reduce his body's exposure as much as possible. A new arrow is fired toward our hero's leg. He's surprised by what he sees ahead. Several arrows strike both his backpack and his body at the same time. Wounded, Yeonwoo moves down the corridor while a window states that extreme pain has overwhelmed his body and that he is now stunned. Our hero, panting, rests his body riddled with arrows as the system says he is able to stay calm, is no longer under the effect, and has gained tolerance to that pain. Even though he already knew about the dangers, he didn't expect it to be this intense, and continuing like this might drive him insane if things don't change. Yeonwoo grabs one of the arrows stuck in his arm and pulls it out forcefully, letting out a grunt of pain. Trembling, our hero heats something with his lighter and begins to cauterize the wounds, once again receiving the stunned status and now the burned one, while his nature allows him to remain calm. After some time, our hero gains resistance to burns and is no longer under the dazed effect. Now recovered, Yeonwoo continues walking down the corridor, now with knives in hand. He understands that when the arrows were fired, they were timed, and there was also a faint signal before each shot. That's why he needs to find the right moment. Finding where the arrows are coming from is impossible with just his eyes due to the darkness, so he'll have to pay attention to the sound of the gears. This is the perfect moment to find the location and trajectory of the projectiles, and during that small window, he must listen carefully to the exact sound being made. To do that, Yeonwoo activates his enhanced senses skill. At that moment, the system informs him that his touch and hearing senses have been enhanced and that the skill level has slightly increased. In the darkness, a sound starts to rise and little by little gets louder until our hero is able to identify the gears. Having discovered the mechanism's location, he looks up and quickly throws his knife toward the ceiling. It hits the target, breaking part of the wall with superhuman strength. Moments later, a section of the ceiling collapses, revealing the trap and several arrows that fall to the ground, making our hero happy for finally managing to find those deadly mechanisms. Yeonwoo moves forward quickly, skillfully blocking all the fired arrows with his knives. This makes him discover that depending on how he handles the projectiles, there's a difference in how his stats grow. Dodging blue arrows increases agility, and upon evading one, the system informs him that he gained another point in that attribute. Parrying red ones increases strength. When he successfully blocks a red arrow, a window displays the status growth. However, our hero gets hit by a yellow arrow, but being hit by one of them increases stamina, and after pulling it out of his arm, the system indicates that his attribute rose by 1 point. Looking at his status window, Yeonwoo understands that the more he accumulates, the more he'll be able to do with the class he has, and there's no place like this. However, our hero shows that the injuries continue to pile up, and it affects him amid a violent cough. After wiping his mouth, he remains confused about how to increase his MP attribute, but if he can take advantage of this place and boost the stats he wants, it'll be better. The goblin laughs as he watches our hero on a television screen. It shows several other people, but excitedly says that Yunwoo is the most interesting one, and he's a unique kind of character he just can't stop watching more than the others. Smiling, Ibolkara says our hero is a true player, and even if he qualifies, he'll still have to face many more dangers. But if he's wise and clears the remaining challenges. Laughing, the manager says he believes there will be many fun spectacles taking place during the tutorial. A new message window pops up with the text, "You have reached the final point." Our hero checks his own status window and can see the increase he gained in his attributes. And he understands that, unlike MP, all the other stats had solid growth, and achieving that in a single day is really good. The status window disappears as Yunwoo realizes that wasn't all. His physical strength, mobility, endurance, and destructive power also increased. Our hero finally starts to open the door in front of him. A golden light appears as the message window informs that treatment for his wounds will now begin. Yunwoo is surprised to see that the energy begins healing his injuries, from the serious ones to the minor. He understands that this is a resting area for players, and that he'll finally be able to recover a bit from the fatigue. However, our hero ends up fainting. After a while, he slowly opens his eyes, wondering if he fell asleep. Little by little, a hooded person approaches, smiling. When finally close enough, the human playfully goes boo. That startles Yunwoo, who quickly throws himself back to create some space. Confused, our hero wonders who that person is, and even with his sensory enhancement ability active, he hadn't noticed that guy was so close. But remembering something, Yunwoo asks him if he's a mysterious merchant. The hooded man says it's a relief that our hero knows who he is and soon introduces himself as a traveling merchant. Our hero remembers that occasionally, these people appear at the final point of each block to sell supplies to players. With a snap of his fingers, the man summons something. Yunwoo knows that everything will be sold, from food to potions, skill books, and even all kinds of artifacts. A merchant who sells everything in the world. A shop appears behind A, who asks our hero if there's anything he needs and says he can sell everything that exists in this world, and if he needs something, just let him know. Calmly, Yunwoo looks at the list of items for sale. Medusa's poison, golden goat horn, Tiamat's left eye. Our hero knows that each of these items are rare artifacts, and there's no way a player in the tutorial could afford to buy these types of items. Knowing he's not yet in position to use artifacts and abilities, Yunwoo decides to focus on physical training. Calmly, he finds what he's looking for in the list of goods, a reset ticket that allows the user to return to a specific point. Our hero asks how he can pay for those items, and the merchant says it's with his stats, and that he only needs to pay the proper amount, and that they're responsible merchants who only offer fair prices. But when Yunwoo sees the price of mineral water, he thinks it's outright robbery. Determined, our hero states that there's something he'd like to buy, which makes A excited and asks what he wants to get. Surprising the merchant, he says he will offer all the stats he accumulated in Block A as payment, to be able to buy the ticket that will reset Block A. The merchant asks if he's really talking about a reset ticket, and is told that yes, that's exactly it. He says that Yunwoo is the first person to ask for that, as people usually ask for something to help them advance more easily to the next stage, never to redo one. Our hero says it's because there's something he wants to do. The merchant smiles, realizing Yunwoo is an interesting participant. Using the ticket is very simple. Just tear it at the location you've chosen, and you'll be sent back to the starting zone. With the explanation given, it begins to fade away, saying that he's leaving now but hopes to meet our hero again. After the merchant disappears, a screen notifies that all the status points earned in the initial block will be used as payment. Yunwoo feels his strength slowly draining from his body until a window appears saying he has received 10 reset tickets for Block A. The tickets fall into our hero's hands, and he immediately tears one of them. A golden glow emerges from the torn ticket. The light starts to blind the entire area until it fades and gives way to darkness. A message reveals that this is Floor 0, where our hero began the tutorial. Yunwoo looks ahead at the starting line. As soon as he crosses the line, another window announces that the test for that floor has begun. Our hero is determined to use this place to accumulate as much status as possible. Armed with his knives, Yunwoo moves through the corridor, but several arrows are fired from all directions. However, all the red ones are skillfully blocked. Our hero knows this is the last time he'll pass through that test, and that by repeating the tutorial, he was able to refine his senses, and now synesthesia is in the palm of his hands. With dragon visual prowess, Yunwoo can partially use the Eyes of Truth of the ancient dragon Kalatus, and when he activated the eyes for the first time, he was shocked by the new perspective he was experiencing. This ability removed all color from our hero's field of vision, making him see only a white field with black lines, which reveal the outlines of objects. This phenomenon was called Jiao by Yenwu's younger brother. As soon as our hero passes through the doors, a new blue panel appears indicating that he has reached the endpoint. This surprises him, knowing that this time it took only 4 hours where before it had taken 34 to complete that route. Even with his status now much higher than before, Yenwu knows he would still be destroyed by other people, and the best players are probably already reaching Block E, and if he lags even more, he'll never catch up, so it's time to start the race. After passing through another door, a new window appears informing that our hero has entered the boss room of Block A. Yenwu is determined to clear both blocks A and B. With that same determination, he charges through the new corridor. Along the way, new arrows are fired, now with glowing trails and more power. Our hero is able to block the arrows, realizing that, as expected, their rhythm is faster. This triggers another message announcing a strength increase. Yenwu keeps moving forward, knowing he can't go slow here. But our hero is caught off guard by a tremor, and when he looks down, he sees the floor opening up. With a powerful jump, Yenwu manages to avoid falling along with the collapsing floor. Seeing the many sharp and pointed spears of the new trap, he's certain that falling means instant execution. In mid-jump and still in the air, our hero manages to perform a swift spin, landing on the other side of the deadly pit, even if barely keeping his balance. Now safer and far from a possible death, a message appears announcing improved agility. A sound grabs our hero's attention as he sees the ceiling opening. From it, a massive flame like a pillar of fire is shot down to the ground. Facing the flames, Yenwu remains calm and analytical. With his knife, our hero slashes a blow that parts the fire, creating a safe path. Yenwu quickly follows the route he carved out while receiving messages that he gained resistance to burns and that his sensory enhancement skill leveled up. At the end of the fire, an object quickly approaches from above, but our hero manages to stop in time to avoid being hit. Several messages appear for each trap overcome, indicating increases in agility, stamina, sensory enhancement, and strength, until he finally runs into a problem. Yenwu takes a powerful punch to the gut. It sends him flying backward from the sheer force of the enemy. Still calm, our hero stares at the creature in front of him, trying to remember what that thing is. A copper puppet, an enemy that copies the movements and actions of players exactly, and is capable of attacking within a certain range, a monster mentioned in the journal. They replicate abilities with even more power, and if you can defeat them, you can enter the boss room. However, if you can't, it will be like dragging a weighted chain tied to you. There are 2 ways to get past those things. One is to destroy them head-on in combat or pierce the creature, and armed with a knife, Yenwu knows what to do. By activating the Dragon's Eye ability, our hero can see the world as a grid of black lines showing the forms of all things. This reveals the creature's weak point, a dark mass in its chest, like a heart. With that information, our hero charges again for a direct confrontation, but a person suddenly appears, yelling that the thing moves based on sensors and that he must find and target them. This surprises Yenwu, realizing someone else is there, and understanding that maybe that person noticed the moment when his senses were enhanced. In one quick movement, our hero prepares for the final strike against the copper monster, now aware that the puppet moves according to the sensors it possesses. Seizing the moment when the creature drops its guard, Yenwu swiftly strikes it with his knife, causing the copper puppet to explode into pieces. The person watches in disbelief at what they just witnessed. That complicated enemy was easily defeated with a single blow. Our hero turns toward the boy, startling him. Yenwu knows that even with his enhanced senses, it was difficult to notice the copper puppet had sensors, something ordinary players wouldn't have picked up on. Standing near the boy, he wonders how that person knew. Fearfully, the boy asks what our hero is going to do to him now. But in Yenwu's eyes, that boy is a weak person. And so Yenwu asks what he's talking about. The young man asks what his intentions are. Our hero says he doesn't have any, and questions how the boy knew, who then asks what he's talking about. Yenwu asks again how he knew the copper monster was operated by sensors. The boy grows tense and begins to explain that he could see the magical strings that were wrapped around the copper puppet. That response was expected. That boy can see magic, which means he has a strong affinity for it, even among those who can control it. Yenwu says he's interested in how he can see and control magic, and asks if the boy can teach him, knowing that if he can learn such a technique, it'll be a huge help when he begins learning how to control magic. The boy is confused by the question, but our hero says he's not asking to learn for free, and seeing that the boy seems to be stuck there for some time, Yenwu offers to help him get out and asks if that's a good enough payment. The boy is so stunned by everything being said that he's left speechless. Taking that as a no, our hero turns to walk away, but the young man tries to stop him, saying it's not like that. Still confused, the boy asks if it's really true that he can't control magic. Yenwu answers that he has no reason to lie, but the boy points at the copper pile of the puppet and yells that it doesn't make sense, asking how it's possible to do that without being able to control magic, knowing that normally, no matter what one does physically, it wouldn't scratch that thing. Yet Yenwu obliterated the monster with just a few physical blows. That makes him question, who exactly is this masked guy? In the end, the boy agrees to help our hero. He introduces himself as Yule and asks, "What should I do for you?" Yenwu says he'll first open a path and that Yule should follow him. The boy replies that he understands. Before moving forward, our hero turns back with the dragon's eye, noticing something strange. That makes him ask Yule why he's presenting himself in that form. This question catches him off guard. Yenwu states that the boy's current appearance is a fake, and seeing the outlines of the entire environment, declares that Yule is probably 10 years old, young, short, and not a normal person. Our hero tells Yule to use proper honorifics and that he won't go easy just because he's a child. Yule politely responds that he understands. Yenwu goes back to fighting, unleashing a fast attack, a throwing strike against the chest of a copper puppet, which explodes upon impact. Our hero continues the battle, leaping for a powerful blow against another metal monster, hitting him square in the chest and defeating him instantly. Yule remains in disbelief at how easily those puppets are defeated. Yenwu says they're almost at Block B and asks if the boy shouldn't say something now that he's there. The boy says he doesn't know how Yenwu will take it, but he can naturally see mana, which makes our hero curious. He asks if maybe it's an ability limited to bloodline, and the boy says it's something like that. Yenwu remembers that there aren't many cases in the world, but it occasionally happens in different worlds. Within genes, there are cases where they express a unique ability or supernatural traits are arranged in a particular way. These people usually pass those traits from their ancestors to the next generation through bloodline. Then the person awakens the ability at a special moment, accomplishes something great with it, and passes it on again to the next descendant. Yule explains that he is one of those cases. The boy says the ability lets him see, feel, and taste magic, and that's how he knew about the sensors. This makes our hero wonder if it's similar to Jongwoo. Since his brother had the nature-perfect adaptation, which made him compatible with anything related to mana as well, he didn't feel the same struggle as others from Earth and felt comfortable using it. It was as if he had recovered something lost, and he could control mana like an expert. Yenwu knows this because of the memories where his brother's allies were shocked at what he could do, and because he was chosen by the ancient dragon Kalatas. He could communicate with all things, which allowed him to inherit the dragon's fundamental abilities, something ordinary people couldn't do. Yule says that technically, such people are considered geniuses, but he is not, and he explains that mana can be seen as a river in magic as the water from a reservoir. Our hero ponders this information until a system window appears. It says that he completed Block A as a solo player and achieved something many find difficult, and for that, he received additional karma, starting with 500. Next, more messages appear informing that he received another 300 karma, and now has 800, and that his mana and stamina have been recovered. Yenwu knows that karma is a very important concept in the tower. The administrator would use it as the game's foundation to give players rewards, and as a currency for people to buy and sell items. And if you're a player, the goal is to accumulate as many points as possible. Our hero believes many would be shocked at how much he gained in Block A alone, but Yenwu decides that it's still not enough, and that he needs more, as much as he can get. While opening the metal door ahead of him, a new message says that he has now entered Block B, a vast white space filled with people in every direction, some preparing for new battles, others resting while recovering from minor to permanent injuries. Everyone whispers, asking who that masked guy is and how he still has a qualification after a week. Some wonder if he cleared Block A alone. Yenwu turns and asks what the boy is doing and why he isn't coming in. Yule, trembling, finally steps into the large white hall. He can't believe he finally made it out of that block, but the boy is surprised when he looks to the side, seeing a group of 4 guys who are equally shocked to see him. However, some avert their gaze while others don't know what to say at that moment. Because of this, Yule shows anger and a certain killing intent. Our hero asks if they're members of his group, but the boy says they were, and now they have nothing to do with him. After they move away, Yule asks where he left off with the explanation, and Yenwu replies he was talking about the flow of mana or something like that. As they sit down, he continues teaching Yenwu, who is surprised by his knowledge of magic, and even if he doesn't understand everything, he manages to grasp the basic concept. Our hero says he now understands a little more about what magic is and asks what the easiest way to feel it would be. Yule says that honestly, he's been able to control it since the beginning, so it's hard to explain how to do it. Yenwu understands and says there's nothing to be done. Then he asks if, after waiting for the tutorial to end, he's going outside, and Yule replies yes, which makes our hero say they'll part ways right there. After that, they both say their goodbyes as the boys' former group begins to approach. Yule turns around upon noticing the approach of the boys. They call out to him, making our hero curious. A man approaches the boys from Yule's group, saying he loves the look in their eyes, and that people like them tend to do great things when they make them happen. He says his name is Bild, an executive of Orangdan, and that he'll be in the waiting room of Block B, inviting them to follow him if they're thinking about moving forward. One of the young men gets excited upon hearing they're being scouted by someone famous, while another asks if that's the group that completely dominated the tutorial stage. The group of boys struggles against the copper puppets, and one of them yells that they were wrong and that the enemies don't go down. Another boy grows pensive, knowing they're in trouble, and if things keep going like this, they won't be able to finish the tutorial and might not even make it out alive. Still tense, he looks to the side, seeing Yule armed with a knife while watching the battle. And even though his skill is analyzing the flow of magic, being so far back, he ends up not being much help. Because of that, the boy makes a decision. He grabs Yule by the collar of his leather armor, who, surprised, asks what he's doing. After throwing the young man into the middle of the copper puppets, the group starts fleeing, abandoning him. Shocked, the boy calls out to his companions, but seeing them run, he asks how they could do that. Yule had hoped, since Block A, to find good comrades, but with the boys approaching again, he asks what they want, and if there's anything left for them to say. The one who threw him among the monsters tries to ask how he got that far, but is told he can't handle him. Yule says he doesn't know what they want, and that they're probably uncomfortable seeing him there, but he feels disgusted just looking at them, and that it's better they act like strangers until the end of the tutorial round. At that moment, the leader of the group bows and apologizes, saying he wants to apologize in any way possible for what happened, and asking that in exchange, Yule keep it a secret, making Yule irritated by the nonsense being said. The boy keeps talking, saying he doesn't know how to explain the details, but begs that what happened between them not be spread around to others. They all bow and start begging for forgiveness and for everything to be kept secret. Irritated, Yule says he doesn't understand what they're muttering and tells them to disappear, that he never wants to see their faces again. In the end, he turns his back to the four boys. The group's leader knows it can't end like this because he already told Build that Yule had sacrificed himself. That makes him nervous, knowing that if the boy ever says something wrong, he'll end up losing the position he gained to get into Arangdan. One of the group members comments on something that catches his attention. While three of the boys are scared by the idea, the leader won't feel bad abandoning Yule a second time. And luckily, they're in an isolated area where no one is really watching them, so he just has to do a clean job in secret. Grabbing his sword, the group leader plans an attack, knowing Build doesn't know Yule, and that he can cover it up by saying he was a casualty in the boss room. Just as he's about to draw his sword for the cowardly act, our hero speaks, saying that Arangdan is affiliated with Blue Flower Island, who hate being associated with people with shady pasts, and that they could never do what Yule did. Surprised, the boy turns to see who's there, only to be struck in the arm holding the sword. The blow inflicts a brutal and permanent wound, causing the boy to scream in pain, startling Yule, who turns to see what's going on. Yenwu faces the remaining boys, who begin to draw their swords, while the group leader cries out over his lost hand. Our hero knows he could have gone on to Block B with no issues, but after hearing that Yule had been betrayed by his allies, he felt like he had to step in. Closing his eyes, he realizes that when he looked at the boy, he saw the silhouette of someone else, his younger brother, who had no choice but to accept the betrayal of his companions. Tense, one of the boys wonders how long the masked man had been there, while another is shocked that none of them noticed him. Yenwu says that if they're prepared to betray someone, then they'd better be ready to pay the price for betrayal, making the boys think he's a professional. Still in pain, the group leader gets irritated and asks how our hero dares to do that to his hand. After getting up, he quickly attacks, saying he's going to take his life. The sword approaches our hero's face, who remains calm. He swiftly grabs the boy's wrist, disarming and restraining him with ease, while telling him to keep trying. And in an intimidating tone, he says he'll make sure he never walks again. One of the boys, even scared, asks why our hero is getting involved since he has nothing to do with Yule. Yeonwoo replies that if they can do whatever they want, then nothing's stopping him from doing the same, leaving the boy speechless. Our hero demands they drop their weapons, which makes the boys look at each other in fear. Annoyed by this, he orders them again to drop them while pulling the arm of the wounded boy, who screams in pain, begging them to obey and drop their weapons. In the end, they all drop their swords on the floor. One of them asks our hero to let Kan go. Yeonwoo smiles beneath the mask and calls them idiots. Without mercy, he steps on the back of the group's leader. A horrid cracking sound comes from the boy's shoulder as he screams in pain. He faints shortly afterward. One of the boys says that wasn't the deal, but before he can finish speaking, he takes a strong punch to the face, which sends him straight to the ground. The other two group members become furious at this, and both holding swords, charge at our hero, who faces them with no concern at all. When they get closer, Yeonwoo launches a head-on attack. With a calm look, he quickly passes between the two and slashes at both of their feet with his knives. They fall to the ground screaming in pain after being struck. Our hero quickly turns toward the two enemies and punches each of the boys in the face, knocking them out instantly. Yule is truly shocked by everything that just happened, and even though he knew Yeonwoo was strong, he didn't expect him to be that powerful. Our hero tells him he's drooling, making him quickly wipe his mouth. With that, he says goodbye to Yule, telling him to live a good life and that from now on, he needs to be careful with people. The boy is surprised and tries to say something, but in the end, he thanks him, calling him an older brother and saying he'll make sure to become like him one day. Yeonwoo turns and tells him to visit the flower garden in Prisia, leaving Yule confused by that, but he ends by saying it'll be very beneficial for him. In the end, our hero continues moving forward. Yule repeats what was said about the flower garden in Prisia, and with a determined look, watches Yeonwoo walk away. In a corner of the waiting room, a red-haired man watched everything that happened with a smile. It made him curious about the whole situation. With his foot, the red-haired man starts waking up someone next to him, telling him to stop sleeping and wake up already. The person finally wakes up, yawning from sleep. Rubbing one of his eyes to fully wake up, he says he can't even sleep and asks what the redhead wants now. The red-haired man asks if he saw what just happened, which makes the blonde curious, but he quickly says that the guys who bragged about entering a Rangdan got wrecked. But the blonde isn't surprised, saying that the way they were being arrogant, it was only a matter of time before they ran into someone stronger and got beaten up. The redhead says that actually, one guy took them all down by himself, and that finally sparks curiosity and disbelief in the blonde. He's told that the guy apparently cleared Block A as a solo player, which makes him think he must be an amazing person. He comments that if the guy really beat up members of a Rangdan, then the blue and white guys are going to be pissed, but the redhead explains they were only candidates. That makes him ask if the guy has a group, since being a solo player means he has no affiliation and there's no one else like him. But the blonde hesitates about the idea since it might mean going up against the blue and white people. The redhead asks him since when he started worrying about that stuff, and upon hearing that, the blonde laughs and agrees, so the redhead asks again if he wants to come with him. That annoys the younger one, who tells him he has a terrible hobby. Still, the redhead insists, asking whether he's going or not. Getting up, the blonde replies that it's impossible, and with a smile he asks, "Did you forget I enjoy this stuff even more than you?" A black screen notifies that the Block B test is about to begin. Another window appears, informing that there are 4 passages ahead and asks for one to be chosen. Our hero finds himself facing a gray door, a blue one, a red one, and a black one. He knows the doors were designed so that the difficulty level increases the further to the right you go, and that his brother chose the blue door, the second one from the right, saying he decided to take it easy with his comrades and pick the easiest one compared to Block A, which had been incredibly difficult for him. However, after a long time, he discovered the tutorial's secret and immediately regretted the decision he made that day. That's because the item each person can get from Block B varies depending on the color of the chosen door. Our hero decides to pick the black door, knowing he needs to obtain Bathory's vampiric dagger, and so he opens the black door. A message appears saying the black route has been chosen. Our hero finds himself in a flooded corridor, and another window informs him of the objective: to cross the lake successfully and reach the other side safely. That is the lake of Qianjiangso, created when the giant Numeru accidentally spilled some of the water he was carrying, and now there is life within the lake. Yanwu kicks a small stone toward the water. It falls into the lake without showing any problem. But as soon as it's in the water, it begins to dissolve while sinking, not surprising our hero. He understands that the water has pressure and density unlike normal water, and that an ordinary person would be crushed by it. Yanwu activates the dragon's eyes, and he sees that on the walls of the enormous corridor, there is a strange black stain. He touches that exact dark, odd spot, causing a stairway passage to open immediately. Our hero decides to go down the stairs, triggering an information window that says he has discovered a secret area called the Room of Fire and Ice, and that he has received 300 credits. Yanwu advances down the stairs, receiving another screen stating that he has entered a dungeon. Our hero notices something ahead and is certain he found what he was looking for. White moss, a type of moss found in caves that contains the spirit of the moon, has a terrible taste, and if someone eats it, they might get a stomachache. Yanwu knows that even though the black route is the hardest, there are ways to deal with the difficulty, and one of them is the white moss. It is a miraculous thing that possesses the moon's spirit, which is why many animals use it as food, but humans can't digest it, and it causes stomachaches. That's why players who discover this dungeon tend to avoid it. But a secret his brother discovered in the future is that there is a way to consume the moss by using it as one of several ingredients. Creatures like insects and animals that eat it evolve to emit artificial heat from their bodies. This heat comes from the heart and becomes the fire attribute. White moss has properties close to ice, which is of the water attribute. When combined with the heart, both create synergy and become a miraculous medicine that strengthens the body. Our hero knows the human body is fragile and easily breaks or gets sick, but he doesn't notice an insect right behind him. However, if he can strengthen his bones and muscles, there will be a way to transform his body and make it more powerful. To do that, Yanwu draws his knife and turns around, throwing it at the creature that had been stealthily following him. The throw hits the body of the giant insect, which growls in pain while our hero knows he needs the monster's heart, a red centipede, which feeds on white moss, and even with atrophied eyes from living in caves, it has other heightened senses and sometimes eats meat. A window appears, informing that a fire-type monster has appeared. A hidden mission pops up. Yanwu must eliminate as many monsters in the dungeon as possible, and the reward will be based on his kill count. The giant insect charges at our hero, who manages to dodge the attack by slipping underneath the creature. But upon attacking, he discovers that the centipede shell is extremely tough, and that normal attacks won't do anything against the exoskeleton, which is really hard, and even though the knife wounded the creature, it didn't go deep, and pulling it back will be dangerous. Since he can't gauge the monster's stamina and doesn't yet know how deep the dungeon goes, the best choice is to clear the place as quickly as possible. Yunwoo activates the dragon's eyes. Now able to see what was once just a creature, he sees all of its contours in black and white and locates a dark sphere inside the enemy. The centipede begins crawling along the ceiling of the cave as if trying to flee. Our hero knows he'll have to strike at the right moment. With great speed, the giant insect returns for another attack, but Yunwoo places his hand on the creature's massive body. Managing to dodge the jaws of the red centipede, our hero swiftly changes his grip on the knife, and with both hands delivers a lethal strike to the monster. However, Yunwoo is surprised to notice there's an internal shell. Because of that, he's caught off guard by the centipede's retaliation, which strikes him violently with its tail, throwing him against the dungeon wall. A window appears saying he received massive damage and is now stunned. Our hero feels the impact throughout his entire body and is surprised by it. More windows appear stating that he's stunned due to internal injury and now poisoned by the red centipede's fluids. Yunwoo knows he has 4 broken ribs, 2 spinal fractures, and a ruptured vein in his right leg. Even so, he remains calm thanks to his cold-blood nature. The system announces that he is no longer stunned or poisoned and that he has developed resistances to those conditions. Our hero starts moving again, pulling out his knives. 2 windows appear stating that he has gained a new skill, physical resistance, and that by not losing his composure, he demonstrated resilience and iron will. The giant insect approaches with its mouth full of teeth for a final attack. A message appears informing that our hero has learned the skill will to fight. Yunwoo quickly blocks the monster's attack using his knife. At that moment, he and the monster enter a clash of strength. But in the end, our hero wins the struggle, dodging the attack and forcing the giant insect to smash headfirst into the cave wall. This allows him to discover there's only one place above the joints that doesn't have the tough shell. With his knife raised, Yunwoo quickly strikes, hitting the monster's stomach, which upon being pierced gushes a blue substance. The creature screams in pain from the stab, but our hero stays calm until he hears the sound of something soft being punctured. With a loud crash echoing throughout the battlefield, the red centipede collapses to the ground, and Yunwoo, exhausted, lies beside the monster. He watches the creature, panting. It tries to get back up, but soon loses the light in its eyes and finally rests in peace. A window appears congratulating him for eliminating the red centipede, saying he hunted something that normally can't be hunted, and for that, he received additional rewards. Our hero finally removes his mask while noticing the blue liquid merging with the white moss. He scoops a handful of this mixture with his hands and begins to eat it. At that moment, something starts to change slowly inside his body. After swallowing the white moss, our hero approaches the body of the red centipede. Using his knife and a bit of time, Yunwoo finally manages to obtain the monster's heart. Without hesitation, our hero devours the ingredient to produce the miracle medicine inside himself. Meanwhile, in Block A's waiting room, Build asks why those two are in that state. Kane just sits there with a blank stare, and the other boy smiles while drooling, both catatonic. The man wonders who messed with them while he was away, thinking he had found good candidates to recruit. Bill believes whoever attacked the two, even knowing they were under Orangdan's protection, truly disrespected them. He asks another guy if the attacker was really wearing a white mask, and the answer is yes. Bill scratches his chin, thinking about someone wearing a mask. He turns and starts walking away, knowing he'll just have to hunt down that masked person. But with a serious look, he's ready for a confrontation. After the window's informed of our hero's achievement, feat, and gain from his victory, another one appears after he finishes eating the ingredient, saying he ingested the heart and that it's synergizing with the white moss, thus creating a hidden beneficial effect. Yunwoo feels that his broken ribs have healed and are now stronger than before. His torn muscles repaired themselves and became more resilient. Another window appears saying that our hero defeated a monster and received a clue for the Heart of Fire, Crest of Frost. Yunwoo is surprised by those messages, knowing that a piece meant to reinforce his body is close to being acquired. Looking at his status window, he understands that he progressed very little, but his recovery is directly linked to the rate at which his body grows stronger. And compared to the boss room, he never imagined he would gain far more attributes by hunting the insect, but he still has little MP and wonders if there's anything he can do about it. He knows that for now his skills have helped him, but he'll have problems in the future when he needs mana, and that it will be difficult to manage the huge difference between attributes. The most important thing is that his ascension is still not fully complete, and that in the dragon's body, every part is important and has a special quality, and to fully accept the power that began with Kalatu's, mana is essential. Yunwoo closes the status window, understanding that he needs to keep an eye on that for now, and that sitting and contemplating the issue won't yield any answers right now. He understands that the effect of physical resistance works best against external blows, minimizing impact and relieving pain, and that his cold-blooded nature helped him stay conscious during training. However, after suffering unbearable pain several times, it's really hard to remain awake, and if he uses this skill correctly, he might be able to avoid such situations. Not to mention, having high resistance to poisoning, burns, freezing, stun, hallucination, and curses is incredibly valuable and will be very useful. Yanwu uses his finger to look at the next skill, called Will to Fight, which accelerates his thinking during battle, making it the most important one. Being able to make quick decisions in tense situations is crucial to staying alive, but it can also be a fatal flaw, and he only defeated the centipede thanks to this ability. Our hero smiles, pleased to know that the growth rate of both abilities isn't bad, especially since getting that qualification is extremely difficult in the tutorial. Yanwu puts his white mask back on his face. 2 bats appear, but are quickly defeated with 1 strike each. The blue window pops up again, saying he managed to kill the infrasonic bats, and that he has now hunted 147 monsters. More defeated bats fall to the ground. Yanwu grabs one of the slain monsters and extracts something from it, seeing that he's starting to get used to things. Our hero has obtained the teeth and toenails of the infrasonic bats. The mixture made from white moss and the poisonous fluid from the red centipede, when combined in the right amount, creates a solution. Yanwu pours the mixture onto the bat's teeth and claws. The ingredients begin to create a strange chemical reaction, generating a powder made from monsters with the fire attribute, which if ignited will cause a massive explosion. Our hero collects this reddish powder into a pouch. After filling several of them, he ties them all to his waist, and now prepares for the next stage. Yanwu faces several giant blue ants taking care of multiple eggs on the dungeon walls and ceiling. These are blue army ants, which can grow from half a meter up to a full meter, and with a queen at the center, hundreds of ants gather to form a colony. One of the monsters carefully tends to one of the eggs in place. Our hero knows that worker ants sacrifice themselves for the colony, and so he wonders if he'll have to fight hundreds of them at once. And unfortunately, the room containing Bathory's vampiric dagger lies beyond those insects. The vampire monarch was one of the monarchs who perished long ago. Yanwu believes she absorbed the lives of others to grow stronger, possibly even stealing their abilities, causing massive devastation that is still felt to this day. The lower the number on an artifact, the more exceptional it is, and because this weapon belonged to such a powerful being, the number on it must be extremely low. The dagger's number is 352, and for having a 3-digit number in the 300s, it's a powerful and unique artifact within the tower. And because of that, our hero is determined to obtain this weapon. Given the situation, he knows that if he can't face the enemies head-on, he'll have to use a little trick. Yanwu begins running toward the insects. They are surprised when they notice him approaching. At that moment, our hero throws the pouches tied to his waist, causing all that red powder to scatter in the area where the ants are. Then he lights a lighter and throws it forcefully toward the ants. The moment the flames touch the powder, everything explodes, burning all the monsters. The system shows a window stating that he has successfully exploded an ant tunnel. Then more messages inform that 217 blue army ants perished in the explosion, and another 89 were burned. This generates a national karma. Yanwu proceeds through the detonated path, and with a single strike, eliminates another worker ant. However, there are still more of them, and one by one, they are quickly taken down with a single blow. Our hero knows that among all the defeated enemies, there were eggs ready to hatch, and that there are still many worker ants left to defeat. However, he decides he'll deal with each of them after getting his hands on Bathory's vampiric dagger. Yanwu understands that danger is imminent. A tremor shakes the area, making our hero look down, seeing the entire cave floor trembling beneath his feet, until finally, a huge monster emerges from the darkness before him. With wings, one of them partially burned by the fire created after the powder explosion, and even some of its legs seem to have been destroyed due to the blast. Yanwu stares at the monster and prepares for battle with his knife. The black eyes of the blue creature lock onto our hero. With a deafening roar, the dungeon boss reveals itself, showing its massive size, and a window announces that it is the Queen Blue Army Ant. She is furious, with part of her face burned. She attacks our hero with one of her legs, but the strike misses. Yanwu seems more concerned about finding a door inside that tunnel than fighting the monster. After carefully observing the place, still burning, with the dungeon boss in front of him, our hero finds the door. Behind the Queen Ant, there's a metal door. He grabs 3 smaller throwing knives and hurls them at the giant Queen Ant. The knives don't do much damage, but one hits the monster's eye. Yanwu charges at the creature, and with a precise strike, he manages to destroy one of the Queen Ant's legs, causing her to fall to the ground due to loss of balance. With the queen on the ground, struggling, the worker ants try to help her while our hero rushes to the metal door. Upon reaching it, he quickly opens it and enters a room, surprised, yet remaining calm. A blue window informs him that he has entered the sanctuary of the vampiric monarch, a place lit with blue flames and red glowing torches, giving the space a sinister atmosphere. In the center of the room stands a statue of Bathory, the vampiric monarch, holding a dagger with a red hilt and a blade that glows like moonlight. The system identifies the weapon as unique, one-handed, and capable of draining the life force of its opponents. Yanwu smiles for finally finding Bathory's vampiric dagger the hidden piece that will help him catch up to those already far ahead. Our hero approaches, knowing that beyond being powerful, it can inflict the bleeding status due to the skill blood mark, but its true value is still sealed. The statue of Bathory looks almost alive, crafted with extreme detail. Yenwu bows respectfully, thanking her for the weapon, and takes it from the statue's hands. At that moment, a dark energy is released, wrapping around our hero's arm, catching him off guard. But he remembers that Bathory's dagger chooses its wielder, and if someone is not chosen, it is said that their consciousness will be consumed by the weapon. Yenwu wonders if rookies would even be capable of controlling that weapon, but his brother, after extensive research, discovered a method to master it. He places his hand on the altar, fully aware that if others saw what he was about to do, they'd say he was crazy. Without fear, our hero quickly brings the dagger down, striking his own hand against the altar. Even injured, Yenwu remains steady, remembering that the weapon's name is actually the name of a highly difficult skill. The vampiric monarch was so greedy that she never passed her beloved weapon to anyone, not even after her death, and thus sealed its true form and abilities. A window announces that the seal has been removed. Our hero knows the seal has finally been lifted as he observes a black energy in the shape of a fanged head swirling around his hand. The system displays information about the weapon's true form, which holds the number 66, and can devour the life force and soul of enemies. Yenwu continues watching that massive energy, which is actually the true form of the vampiric dagger. A screen appears describing the skill blood mark. Upon causing lethal damage to a target, it inflicts bleed, draining stamina and mana, and causing damage over time. And another skill that even the tower's top players can't acquire, the vampiric monarch's authority, which drains the target's life force and part of their abilities. If mastered, there's a chance to fully steal the ability. That makes our hero smile, as he walks back toward the door, wondering if it's finally time for some gains. A blue army ant is struck with force, and she collapses defeated on the ground at our hero's feet. The dungeon boss stares at his enemy, while Yenwu, with his old knife, charges at the monster. As he gets closer, he quickly leaps onto the giant insect, effortlessly managing to mount the creature. Yenwu activates his new weapon as he turns around. He strikes the queen ant, making the dagger's fangs bite into the insect's carapace. Our hero tells the weapon to feed on the prey. This causes the monster to lose its bluish color and begin turning gray, while a screen informs that the target's life force is being drained, and another window reports that the dagger's level has increased slightly. The dungeon boss starts to look like worn-down stone, and more system notifications appear saying that our hero absorbed the enemy's life force and that his attributes are increasing one after another. In the end, the Queen Blue Army Ant becomes a dry husk, and a message declares that Yenwu has defeated the dungeon boss and received 300 karma. More windows appear stating that the ants' will to fight is diminishing and that their tunnel is quickly collapsing. Near the White Moss area, two people are talking. One is surprised by the place, and the other says that at least the person they're searching for knows how to find such places. The red-haired man asks his partner if he's sure this is the right place. He replies that if he doesn't believe it, he's free to go back. But laughing, he hugs the blonde youth and asks if anyone ever told him they really should go back, and why it's so hard to get close to him. That annoys the boy a little. Now serious though, he looks forward, seeing the defeated monsters on the ground, not believing that our hero really hunted all those creatures, finding it incredible, but wondering how he grew so fast. The blonde says that after analyzing them, the first enemies were much stronger than the last ones. Something ahead catches his attention. Surprised, he alerts the older man, who responds that he's already seen it, and that maybe they need to start taking things more seriously. Several monsters like ants and centipedes are dried up like old husks, leaving the man confused as to how our hero acquired such an ability when they haven't found anything yet, especially after he cleared Block A alone. This makes him realize that this is a unique person, and soon word about him will spread, so they must find him before other clans can recruit him. A loud noise echoes through the dungeon cave, drawing the duo's attention as they turn around, and they are surprised to see blue ants and red centipedes fleeing as fast as they can from something. That makes the two look at each other and nod in agreement. A window appears indicating that our hero hunted a brown-scaled salamander. The creature collapses to the ground like a dry husk, and another screen reveals that he has hunted 1,000 monsters, completing the mission requirements. The system announces that he has acquired all the components for the Heart of Fire and Crest of Frost, and that they began searching for a place in his body, starting a transformation. Yenwu looks at his own hands, seeing powerful energy surrounding them, while a window tells him he has acquired a new body, reinforced anatomy. Our hero opens the status window to understand this new change, and upon seeing his information, he realizes that thanks to the power of Bathory's vampiric dagger, the number of his skills has increased significantly compared to before, especially the new trait, reinforced anatomy, which increases his immunity and resistance while reducing accumulated fatigue. This excites our hero, understanding that this is a very good self-healing ability that will greatly reduce injuries sustained during dangerous moments. Yenwu, however, needed this new trait for another reason. A window appears stating that the user's body is strong enough, and the ascension process will now be condensed. After a while, it stops at 21.3%. Notifying that his body has transitioned from incomplete to immature dragon's body, our hero knows that to complete it, he'll need a truly strong body, and he has now secured one piece. A screen informs Yeonwoo that his rank in the tutorial has been updated and asks if he would like to register his name on the ranking board. He promptly presses the option to reject it, knowing that registering his name brings no benefit and will only make the strongest players wary of him. Another screen shows the player rankings in the tutorial, revealing that he has risen to rank 281. Yeonwoo is curious, not understanding what happened. Even after rising, he is still far behind those at the top of the rankings. This makes him question what people like Adora, Fant, and Khan are doing, and that this isn't good. So he needs to speed things up and continue advancing. Out of nowhere, something catches our hero's attention. He can feel a presence and wonders if it's an outsider since he hasn't seen any other players while he was there. This makes him tense, not knowing if he's being followed, especially if it's people from Arangdan seeking revenge after he helped Yule earlier. Yeonwoo notices someone sneaking around in a corner and quickly throws his knife, surprising the blonde boy who doesn't have time to react. But he is quickly pulled back, causing him to fall to the ground. The red-haired man manages to save Doyle in time, blocking the thrown knife with his sword. The knife simply falls to the ground, leading both sides to face each other directly. Irritated, he asks our hero why he did that out of nowhere, and Yeonwoo asks if they're from Arangdan. The man asks why he's suddenly bringing up that group's name, which makes our hero try to understand why they're following him. The redhead replies that even if they were from Arangdan, he doesn't think that would justify attacking them so suddenly. But Yeonwoo responds, "And what if you were following me without any reason? Wouldn't it be normal for me to assume you had bad intentions?" That makes the duo apologize for not thinking about it from that perspective. Our hero stays silent, evaluating them, and soon questions the reason they're following him. Excited, the red-haired man points at Yeonwoo and says he wants him to join his group. That makes Doyle put his hand on his face while our hero watches silently, wondering what's wrong with that lunatic, who is scolded by the blonde boy telling him to stop and asking how he's not embarrassed. Yeonwoo turns to leave, but the man asks why he's walking away and says their conversation isn't over yet. Seeing that our hero is leaving, he grabs his arm, prompting Yeonwoo to ask if there's more to say, and the man says he still hasn't answered the invitation to join the group. Yeonwoo replies that it's impossible, surprising the redhead, who then asks why. He answers that he doesn't know them and doesn't feel any kind of appeal strong enough to justify forming a partnership. The man asks if he really doesn't know who he is, and is told no, prompting him to ask why, to which our hero replies by asking why he should know him. That leaves the redhead shocked and emotionally hurt that Yeonwoo truly doesn't know who he is, the biggest star of the tutorial. Doyle tries to gently explain that the guy is selfish, but also a bit evil, snobby, and very annoying, but he's not a bad person, which irritates our hero. Awkwardly, he introduces himself as Doyle, and that the thick-headed older guy is named Khan. Our hero asks if they're the ones ranked 11th and 3rd in the tutorial rankings. The boy says it's embarrassing to hear that and admits it's pretty suspicious that both of them are there when they're supposed to be in Block F. Yeonwoo says he'll trust the identity they've given him, surprising Doyle. Our hero activates the dragon eyes, knowing that with those eyes, people with good intentions appear with a brighter color, and those with bad thoughts show up darker, with shaded areas on their bodies. And since those two have bright pigmentation, they're telling the truth. That makes him wonder why players like them, who should be finishing challenges and accumulating karma, are in a cleared area recruiting him. Doyle says that before anything else, he'd like to ask something. Our hero asks what it is, and the boy wants to know if he's already affiliated with a clan or team, and is told no. Excited, the boy says that's good news and explains that there's an artifact in Block E that they want, but to get it, they need a group of 3 to 4 people. Yeonwoo asks if they couldn't find someone in that area, but Doyle says everyone there is already part of a group they'd prefer to stick with. Our hero understands that it's difficult to assess skills in Block A, so they came to Block B, and seeing someone clear the first challenge alone caught their attention, and that leaves him speechless for having drawn so much attention. Yeonwoo asks if they, being so strong, are really looking for help to get an artifact in Block E. Doyle says yes, and admits he can't explain it very well. Our hero knows they're after Hargan's crown, and that his brother and his group also found that item's location by pure luck. And I heard that the lair's ruler, the Lizard King Hargan, was very difficult to defeat during raids because of his wild temperament. The reward Hargan drops is his crown, which gives the user the ability to increase their command presence, and it's not something our hero really needs. On top of that, his brother was betrayed by his most trusted allies. Inside the tower, it's every man for himself, and if you're not careful, you'll never know when you'll be destroyed. In such a violent forest, there's no reason to have comrades or a party, and even if you do, 1 or 2 is enough to avoid being a burden, or being eliminated if things go wrong. Doyle says the reward won't disappoint, and if he wants something, they can offer it as payment. Believing it's a fair deal, he asks what our hero thinks. Yeonwoo becomes thoughtful, and even if he's not excited, a hidden piece is still a good thing, and if he can get something of that caliber for just a bit of his time, it's a win. That makes him say it sounds good, and that he has just one condition. Doyle asks what the condition is. Our hero says he wants everything that gets dropped, except for the artifact thereafter. Khan nods in agreement. That makes the three reach an agreement, but he says Yunwoo will still have to prove his worth to claim the rest. Excited, Khan extends his hand for a handshake and says this meeting feels predestined, asking to finish introducing himself. Our hero shakes his hand, knowing this is a battlefield and that he doesn't need to use his real name, and that he needs another name, a code name to use. With that thought, he says Kane, telling the two of them that his name is Kane. Windows pop up revealing that our hero has completed blocks B and C as a solo player, and that what he accomplished is no easy feat, so he will receive extra karma. An injured goblin says the human did it, but the pain is so great he can't go on. Still, he says the human is strong and they must inform the commander. Yunwoo finishes off the monster and begins to clean his knife. Khan is confused by his growth, as not long ago he was still playing in Block B. Our hero opens the iron doors while being followed by the pair, passing by several goblins lying on the ground. And as soon as he crosses the gate, the message says he has completed Block D and all his stats will be restored. A window soon informs him that he has reached Block E, a place with grass instead of a stone floor. Khan complains that he thought he was going to suffocate in that place, while his friend grumbles that it was a great place to sleep because it was sheltered. The tutorial is divided into two main areas, the internal and the external. The internal area is where beginners start to understand their abilities and develop new ones in the areas they're weak, using blocks A to D. The external area is where they can showcase the abilities they've developed along the way and prove their worth in blocks E to G. A message arrives saying that he's now starting the test for block E, and that he's received a token, a small circular blue stone. There are many of them hidden throughout block E. They can be transferred or traded between players, and to prove his worth, he needs to collect 99 tokens. Khan says he gets irritated every time he looks at those things. Our hero understands that basically it's okay to assassinate or rob someone to get those tokens. Yunwoo knows that finding 98 more will be hard, but it'll be much easier to take them from other players to complete the total. It's obvious what choices others will make, and because of that, his brother also had a hard time collecting them all. Our hero looks to the side, noticing that Khan doesn't seem interested in the token and likely already collected several in Block B to finish quickly, or maybe already has them all. Yunwoo says he received the test and tells him to go after the hidden piece quickly so he can take the test, but the guy says the place is really far, and it'll take a while to get there. That's because Block E is larger than A and much more vast than all the previous areas combined. As a result, each section has its own topography, landmarks, and environment that creates a unique ecosystem. The eastern part is dry and full of black rock mountains that act as a barrier. The western side is peaceful with a river cutting through it. The south has several rolling hills, however. As soon as someone heads north, the area becomes an increasingly dense forest, and near the end of this forest, there's a muddy swamp. That's why each area has a variety of monsters inhabiting it, and goblins and other small monsters like kobolds like to build villages near the forest, but larger and more dangerous monsters like ogres, lizardmen, giant worms, and orcs live in other areas and guard the tokens. The group follows a path through the forest. Meanwhile, in a warehouse packed with weapons, a meeting is taking place. Build asks if the thug who destroyed Khan's group is hanging around with Doyle and Khan, and why that is since they're originally from Block E. A man bows and says they haven't gotten more information yet and will continue investigating, but the two of them are no longer in Block E, and a witness saw both in Block B. Irritated, the guild executive asks him if he only now learned something so important. He replies that he didn't expect them to be in the early stages, so no one suspected anything, prompting Build to ask if they recruited him, and he's told that maybe they did. That makes him even angrier, knowing that, as expected, Khan and Doyle managed to find someone to help them. And setting the masked one aside, even though he's caused problems, that kind of behavior is clearly an attempt to disgrace the entire Blue Flower Island. Build stands up, saying this is an attack on their whole group, and at that moment, the man, still bowing, says everyone is waiting outside. Spider's manager gives the order for everyone to head to the location where the masked man is supposedly at. The flames of a campfire flicker through the night. Our hero watches the fire, realizing how quickly time passed because they'd come so far, and wonders if it's because he's always running and not resting properly. In the sky, there are two moons, and Yunwoo remembers that in Africa the sky was just as open, and that his brother Jungwoo liked that kind of silent solitude. That makes him look to the side, seeing that unlike the others, Khan and Doyle are always laughing, and at the same time every decision they make is with confidence. Both of them are free spirits unlike the other players. As if that kind of life were normal to them, accepting everything they face with ease. They're quite an interesting duo, which makes him wonder where they came from. Besides that, occasionally, when the two show teamwork during battles, our hero is impressed because it doesn't even look like they rehearsed it. Yunwoo can see that while Khan is the muscle and fights on the front lines, Doyle stays further back, acting as the brain of the duo, and that seems to make sense given the situations they're in. In some situations, the enemies act one way, in others they act differently, but both seem comfortable with each other through it all. Their teamwork isn't something built in 2 days. It must have taken at least 5 years, possibly up to 10, and even biological siblings would have a hard time pulling that off. Both of them entrust their lives to one another, and that can't be done without a huge amount of faith and trust in the other person. Yenwu doesn't know how to classify their relationship, and they're not brothers. He can't understand how two people that strong can be so united against all odds. With the fire reflecting in his eyes, he's certain of one thing: that duo truly fits together. Our hero doesn't want to fully understand their relationship or try to fit into their group, but when he sees them together, he ends up thinking of a certain person. Yenwu realizes that the deeper the night gets, the more sentimental he becomes, and even though he tries to shake off those thoughts, he keeps thinking about unnecessary things. A sound catches his attention, and he looks toward the source of the noise. He asks the duo what's going on since there's still time before the watch shift changes, but Ron asks how they're supposed to sleep with all that racket nearby. Doyle asks our hero how long he's going to keep ignoring those things, and he replies that he'd do something if they got closer, and apologizes for that. That makes the younger one laugh, saying it's all good and that he feels a bit rusty anyway, so maybe he'll get some exercise under the moonlight. Doyle asks Khan if those guys are there knowing he's around or not, and while stretching, wonders if that really matters. With calm, the redhead draws his sword, and says the important part is that they dared to draw their blades in front of him. After that, Khan makes a horizontal slash at the bushes, causing something to scream in pain. One person was injured, surprising the entire group, who asked how they were discovered. Nervously, they told each other to scatter because it would be dangerous to stay together. With seriousness, Khan advanced against the spies, quickly eliminating them one by one with a single strike. Our hero watched as several insects passed by him, seeing the swarm obeying Doyle's gesture, and he understood that the young man had the tamer class for insects and that controlling such low-intelligence creatures was difficult and complicated. The affected people screamed in desperation, saying they were under attack and couldn't see anything, causing them to try to retreat. Doyle noticed something and looked to the side, seeing 2 men approaching our hero from behind to attack him. But with a smile, he simply thought they were 2 idiots, that out of all the places they could have gone, they chose the worst one. One of the men thought that regardless of the form, anyone would be interested in such a profitable deal, and smiling, he realized that there was no way to know how many tokens the high-level team's partner had collected or what artifacts he would get from both Khan and Doyle. Without wasting any more time, the man attacked our hero from behind, but the knife only hit the stump where he had been sitting. This confused him, thinking he had struck his target, but Yenwu was already behind him, and with a single strike from his dagger, he annihilated the assassin. The rest of the men were frightened to see their leader defeated so easily, but still armed, 2 of them charged toward our hero to take him down. Yenwu, with a calm gaze, moved to confront the enemies, quickly defeating the 2 with a precise strike each. A third opponent tried a horizontal attack, but our hero ducked, dodging it, and with an upward slash, he swiftly countered and annihilated the attacker. That scared the rest of the assassins, who began to flee. However, Yenwu quickly pursued all of them. After the battle, 21 people were counted. Our hero said he had collected a total of 81 tokens, and that it was easy. Doyle remarked that it had been a long time since any rookies entered Block E, and that must be what was left after they had sold nearly everything, with over 1,000 people around there looking for and fighting over tokens. Doyle said they only got that many because they were thieves, and most players only managed to get 10 tokens. Our hero understood that the rich get richer, and the poor get poorer, and that the system in Block E is winner takes all, and that most of the stronger players will take everything from the weaker majority. With no choice, they'll have to hand over their tokens to survive, and even if they manage to hide a few, in the end, they'll be extorted more and more. No matter what they do, the strong can just sit back and quickly collect tokens, but the weaker ones will always have few tokens, which is why there's such a massive gap between the top players and everyone else. Doyle told our hero to collect as many tokens as possible, since they're used to earn karma and buy items from the mysterious merchant, and that all those tokens were his, making Yeonwoo question it. But the young tamer said they still hadn't made the initial payment for the deal, and that's why he asked him to accept the tokens as payment. Our hero asked if Khan agreed to that, since both of them needed karma, but both of them said he didn't need to worry, and that they had enough for each of them. Yeonwoo stored the tokens in his backpack, realizing that had been easier than expected. That Block E would be his last place to gain a vast amount of karma, and that man would appear there too. That would significantly increase his magical power, and then he would be able to fulfill the cost of ascension. Our hero knew that after defeating the Lizardman King, he would need to prepare to annihilate that man. The moon still hung in the night sky, casting some light into the darkness. Several logs cut for firewood and branches were thrown to the ground. Khan said the next enemy they would face was very strong, and they needed to prepare to fight him. Our hero already knew it would be the Lizardman King Hargan. A light caught his attention. Yenwu watched as moths approached Doyle's hands. One by one, they fell into the campfire. Impressed, our hero said it was incredible. Doyle explained that they're called flame bugs, and when they encounter their natural enemy, they combust along with it, and that the tower was full of amazing insects. That made Yenwu realize there was still a lot he didn't know about that tower. A new day dawned with the sounds of battle. Our hero launched a fast and heavy attack against an enemy. A lizard man is mortally wounded, and in the end, falls lifeless near other monsters of its kind. Khan asks what he's doing, and our hero replies that he's extracting the lizardman's eyes since they're really good for crafting artifacts with specific effects. An artifact with a name based on a giant said to have 100 arms and 1,000 eyes, and those eyes are needed to forge Gaija's eyes. Doyle is surprised as he realizes something, and asks if he's right, and Khan confirms, saying it looks like someone is just ahead. They all notice a trail of lizard footprints, stained with the monster's blood. Yenwu crouches and touches the red liquid, certain that it's still fresh, and that it happened around 5 to 6 hours ago, which makes Khan pensive. Our hero knows well that hidden areas are literally hidden, and that's their only value. They're made to keep players focused and prevent them from falling behind. Doyle, worried, asks if those people succeeded. However, these hidden spots in the tutorial don't repeat in the same block, and if someone else clears Hargan's lair, the two who need Hargan's crown will suffer a huge loss. Yenwu says no, because the footprints are going inside the place, not coming out, and it doesn't seem like they're heading for the hidden area. Khan is confused by this. Our hero asks him to look at something, a different and continuous footprint in the muddy ground. Yenwu says that something big and heavy was dragged across the ground, possibly a player's body used by the monsters to lure people in. Nervously, Khan asks what happened after that, but the answer is that no one ever knows. Monsters aren't always the prey, sometimes they're the ones hunting the players. And for those creatures, this place is their home. They know the environment far better than the participants, and clearly there will be traps around, and it looks like this one is connected to that bait. Khan complains, saying it's bothering him, but he can handle it. And that makes our hero realize that he's not a fool and can stay calm when necessary. But Yenwu notices something else. Doyle is angry about what was said and about what the monsters did, but he notices he's being watched by our hero, and he smiles as if to ask if everything's okay, but doesn't get a response. Khan asks Yenwu if they hadn't talked about this place before. Our hero keeps pretending he knows nothing while being told the place is called Hargan's Lair. Still pretending ignorance, he asks if Hargan is the commander or the king of the lizardmen they encountered earlier. Khan says it's something like that, and that he's here. Our hero asks if the monster is strong, and is told that it's impossible to defeat it if it's just the two of them. That's why he asks if even with him, it would still be difficult. Khan replies that that's a different story, but still quite complicated, and that there's a female boss inside the den who is the real problem. And no matter how hard they try, taking down 2 bosses with just the 3 of them is impossible. They die in vain. So our hero asks what the plan is. Seriously, Khan says they're going to steal, since the male is outside the den while the female is inside. While he handles the male, our hero has to distract the female, and at that moment, Doyle will steal the crown from her head. Yenwu asks what they'll do after, and Khan says they'll flee. There's no way to beat her alone, so there's no reason to face her head on. They just need to distract her. Our hero agrees to the plan, already experienced from doing missions on the African battlefield, and this won't be any different, except that back then he was just a soldier taking orders, and now he's more like a mercenary. Khan then says it's time to start the plan. A window pops up saying they've entered an area and discovered the hidden location, Hargan's Lair, and so they've earned 500 karma. The group approaches the den and notices guards patrolling the outside. The monsters spot the group and begin to hiss, announcing the presence of humans. Armed, the group gets ready for battle. With a strong stomp on the muddy ground, a blue-scaled claw appears. At that moment, a blue window appears informing that the secret boss, Hargan the Lizardman King, has appeared. The monster, covered in the grime of battle, roars in fury. Humans, how dare you enter my territory? Unforgivable. A screen pops up revealing a hidden quest, explaining that if they defeat him and his minions, they'll receive Hargan's crown, the blue-scale scimitar, and ownership of the den. The Lizardman King charges into battle, growling furiously, making our hero feel a pressure he had never felt before, something he hadn't experienced since the first time he entered the tutorial. And it feels just like the fear he felt when he was first sent to the war zone, however. To that monster, this is something new. And for Yenwu, who resists the fear, it surprises Hargan, who looks seriously at our hero, and with a massive scimitar, he charges at him, saying he will annihilate him, forcing Yenwu into a defensive stance. However, someone suddenly steps in front of him, surprising our hero. Khan quickly blocks the monster's attack with his sword. That makes Hargan back off, lowering his weapon, and telling that human not to interfere, that he's no match for him. Khan, smiling, apologizes but says he's not the person he used to be. Hargan attacks again, but the young man swiftly evades the strike by moving backward. That enrages the monster, who demands, while swinging again, that Khan stop running and face him, but ends up fatally injuring his own minions. One of the lizardmen grows concerned and begs his king to calm down. Meanwhile, our hero and Doyle, worried about their friend, storm the lair. Inside, there are more guards protecting the place, lit by torches. Both are quickly taken out by daggers that strike them in the forehead. The duo approaches the monsters to continue forward, until someone speaks up, saying they are humans, which draws their attention. They notice people trapped in a prison cell, as well as the remains of others in front of the iron bars. Desperate, the prisoners scream, begging the humans to save and free them. That makes our hero remember the trail he found at the entrance, and now he knows this is where captured players end up, and that this place is actually used as food storage to feed their hatchlings. Yunwoo says that if they waste time saving them, they won't be able to get the crown. Doyle calls out to our hero and asks how he isn't angry. Yunwoo is confused as the young tamer asks how he can stay calm after seeing that, which makes him think Doyle is too childish. Our hero says he's human too, and that he wouldn't be one if he didn't feel anger about it, but is questioned again why he still seems so calm. He answers Doyle that if they stop to save those people, Khan will be in danger. This leaves the young man speechless. Yunwoo continues, saying not to forget that their friend is fighting Hargan, and he won't win alone. The longer they delay, the worse it'll get, and that he needs to calm down and remember his priority, and if he still wants to do whatever he wants, then our hero will abandon the plan. Yunwoo looks closely at the young man, who is visibly conflicted. A loud noise echoes through the place. Doyle slaps himself hard across the face. That makes him apologize for not thinking straight, and after that he begins to move forward again, telling them to hurry. Khan is waiting outside, but Yunwoo gets an idea. Knowing that Hargan uses the place to store food for his young, our hero has a plan to use that location against him. He asks Doyle to stop, leaving him confused, but explains that he had an idea and asks if they can slightly change the plan, and that if it works, they'll be able to save the people trapped there. This leaves the young man with more doubts. Yunwoo asks him to call the flame bugs they used the previous night and says it's essential. A lizard man is fiercely struck by a massive club and thrown to the ground as someone yells furiously, "Humans, how dare you enter my lair?" A red lizard woman, armed with a club, keeps screaming for her babies, saying she must go see them, and that those filthy humans are there to take her hatchlings. A voice calls out for the monster's attention, and she looks at who's speaking. Our hero faces her with a leather bag in hand, standing amid several wounded monsters, and asks her if she likes fireworks. Still angry, she questions what he's talking about, but she's caught off guard when Yunwoo throws the bag into the nest. That makes her rush to save her young, and with a powerful swing of her club, she manages to destroy the bag, which releases a reddish mist. Upon seeing it, the monster is confused and surprised. Our hero is using the powder he made in the cave of ice and fire, and he quickly calls out to Doyle, drawing for him to hurry and bring the flame bugs to the powder. The insects quickly catch fire, hitting the red lizard man, who screams in pain from the flames. Even wounded, she stays on her feet, cursing them because of it. But when she looks ahead, she's shocked. Our hero has taken one of the hatchlings and made it a hostage. He brings the knife close to the small monster and eliminates it, making the lizardmen scream in pure rage and pain while cursing them and demanding to know how they dare. Yunwoo drops the dead monster and says that they treat humans as nothing but livestock. Once again, he grabs another of the hatchlings and says that she should have known this could happen to her too. The lizardman charges at our hero, yelling for him to release the hatchling, but is caught off guard when she realizes she just stepped into that red powder and onto some of the insects, which instantly combust, creating a violent explosion that makes her howl in pain. In the end, she is defeated and collapses to the ground, clutching one of her hatchlings. A screen appears saying he has executed Terrigan, Queen of the Lizardmen, and will gain additional karma. The monsters are demoralized and everyone in the area is in panic. Yunwoo stands near the lifeless enemy and says that humans and monsters, it's always a battle for survival. Doyle calls out to our hero, who tells him to grab the crown. They need to run and meet Khan outside. Trembling, the young man picks up the relic and happily celebrates finally getting the crown. A roar suddenly catches their attention. Hargan approaches, shouting, "You bastard humans," but instead of attacking, he runs to his wife and kneels at her side, distressed, calling out to her. Khan, panting, is speechless at what he's seeing. Hargan embraces his deceased partner as tears stream from his eyes, yelling that he will avenge her, that he will do it for her and for their children. He brings his snout close to Terrigan's face, leaving Khan and Doyle stunned. Screens appear saying that Hargan has used the skill Predator, and that he has absorbed Terrigan's powers, initiating a mutation, and that the second phase has begun. The monster slowly starts to grow in size, and as soon as he raises his sword, our hero says with surprise that this is bad. Hargan slams his weapon into the ground, creating a wave of red energy that cracks everything nearby. Hiding behind a wall, our hero observes the situation, knowing that Hargan is a boss for a reason. His main skill is Heat Wave. If he's not fast enough, he'll be disintegrated. The second phase is dangerous, and it makes Yunwoo realize that if he doesn't act, he won't make it out alive. He begins to wonder about something, but is interrupted by a green moth that starts talking, asking if he can hear her. Our hero asks if it's Doyle speaking, and laughing he says he's relieved because he didn't know if that would work, but he can hear him and asks if he has a plan. Yunwoo asks if he can inform Kan about the plan, and is told yes, if it's just for relaying messages. That makes him start explaining his idea. Hargan, furious, shouts, "Humans, if you won't come out, then I'll find you." Our hero steps out from behind the wall and provokes him by saying to try it then. The taunt works, and Hargan charges forward, shouting that he'll annihilate him. Our hero activates Dragon Eyes, spotting a black mass near the tip of the enemy's blade. Using his knife, Yunwoo blocks the monster's attack and slowly begins to crack the scimitar. Hargan manages to overpower the human's block, but his weapon slams hard into the ground. As our hero yells, "Okay now," Kan appears and rushes toward the boss, landing a blow that wounds his body. Doyle then commands his insects into battle, which explode on contact with Hargan. Our hero watches, understanding that the three of them together will manage to wear out the monster's stamina, and that if they lose focus for even a second, they'll be annihilated. But Hargan remains standing, saying he will show no mercy and that he will avenge Terrigan. The boss raises his sword again, but Yunwoo knows he's going to activate Heat Wave. Quickly, he closes the distance to the monster and strikes the scimitar, stopping the ability from being used. Hargan rages, yelling that but more explosions erupt behind him, making him curse them and question how they dare. The boss is panting and shaking, but still insists that he must avenge Terrigan and the hatchlings. Our hero knows this is the perfect moment and swiftly strikes, slicing the back of the creature's calf, which makes it fall to its knees, using the sword to keep itself balanced. Yunwoo places his hand on the back of Hargan's neck, catching him off guard, and says for him to be absorbed. A blue screen appears, informing that the proficiency of Bathory's vampire dagger has increased, and that he absorbed vitality and energy, making Hargan roar in pain as he is drained. Our hero continues the process even as he sees the fire beginning to spread. His eyes remain calm, as if everything is under his control. Kan and Doyle become worried and call out to him. Hargan, still alive, says that no matter what happens, they all must realize something, and already without strength, says he must avenge Terrigan and his hatchlings. But in the end, the flames die down and he finally drops his sword. The blue screen appears announcing that our hero has defeated the second boss, Hargan, king of the lizardmen, and that additional karma will be awarded based on his contribution, and that the dagger managed to extract energy and steal part of the target's ability. A third window informs that our hero acquired the ability Heat Wave. Yunwoo drops Hargan's dried out body to the ground. Another screen informs that the proficiency of Bathory's vampire dagger is still very low and the ability will be altered. It was changed from Heat Wave to Flame Infusion, which has a D+ rank and can imbue a weapon with fire, and the temperature can be manipulated depending on the proficiency of the skill. Yunwoo understands he didn't get exactly what he wanted, but at least he got something useful that can modify the weapon to the fire attribute, and decides to test it later. Our hero appears dizzy, causing the duo to run over to him. Kan catches him and asks if he's okay, while Doyle tells him to rest a bit or his wound might reopen, but Yunwoo says he's fine and that they'll heal on their own. However, both of them, worried, keep insisting he should rest, which irritates him. Our hero repeats that he's fine and that they don't need to worry, and asks them to check on the people in the cells, saying they don't look well. After some time, the humans thank them amid tears and cries of joy. One of them bows in gratitude, saying he can now avenge his former companions who can finally rest in peace. Kan smiles, saying they only did what should have been done. The man asks if he is the famous Blood Sword and if the person beside him is Foxy Tail. That makes him laugh a lot, saying he had hoped to keep that a secret. Doyle gets upset since he's also famous and wasn't recognized, while his friend receives all the attention from the people. Kan says he wasn't the only one who took part in the raid and that in truth he only assisted his teammate, and pointing to our hero says none of it would have been possible without him. But the men grow angry upon seeing the masked figure, as they remember seeing him and being ignored by him. Kan asks if something's wrong and is informed by one of the men that when Doyle found them, it was our hero who ordered him to abandon them, and that, even if it sounds like too much, he says Yunwoo is not human, prompting a response that he truly crossed the line, causing Kan to glare at him angrily. The man becomes afraid and asks what's wrong. Kan, irritated, says it doesn't matter what he said earlier, and that Yunwoo and Doyle saved them even while badly injured, while they were foolish enough to get caught in that nest and are alive thanks to him. Yet the first thing they say is to warn others about our hero. That makes Kan tell the man to be more careful with what he says. He tries to get support from the others, but everyone averts their eyes. That makes him apologize, but Kan says he didn't hear him, forcing the man to beg for forgiveness. But he's told he needs to apologize to someone else. This clearly defines the strong and the weak. The man bows to our hero, asking forgiveness for being rude. He doesn't reply, knowing the weak will always bow to the strong, just like now. But that man then calls the rest of the people traitors, since before they all surrounded him inside the cells and he always put his life on the line to get what they needed. But now, when he needs them, they've all pulled away from him. One of the men calls him boss and, irritated, he turns and asks what he wants. He apologizes for earlier and hopes he'll understand since their lives were saved. Still angry, the leader tells them to leave him alone, yet that man pleads for him to listen, and asks if the boss doesn't need tokens and artifacts, to which he asks why he cares about that. Looking at Khan and Doyle, the man says there's a treasure mine waiting to be opened there and suggests they make a profit, asking what his boss thinks. The duo talks without knowing that a plot is being hatched against them, but the group leader asks what kind of idea is this. His subordinate says they're just trying to survive there, but when questioned if they're trying to betray the ones who saved them, the man says they're not crazy enough to do something like that, which makes the leader ask what the real plan is. The subordinate says he's talking about property transfer since they lost all their weapons and items, and if they return to Block E like this, they'll be in trouble. That's why they're considering stealing some of their belongings and running away. But the leader, fearing for his life, asks what they'll do if they get caught. But the man says that either way, their lives are already at risk, and that leads to the next question. Do they even have a plan? He explains that one of the group members has the skill Quick Hands, which is amazing when used, and again asks if he's in on it. Confident, the leader agrees to join the robbery. Khan says that now that our hero has recovered, they should talk about their plans, and that, as agreed, they'll split the Hargan's crown, and Yenwu accepts that. That gets Khan really excited, saying he's the best, and that he knew from the start he was a great guy, but our hero gets annoyed and tells him to shut up, and quickly walks away, telling Doyle not to forget to grab the relic, while Yenwu considers punching the redhead. But despite everything, he can't bring himself to hate him, which is why he thinks Khan is a strange guy. Our hero turns and looks toward where Hargan was defeated. At that moment, Khan says that as promised, he can keep the blue sword scales and the property of the den. But Yenwu uses daggers, and weapons like that sword are useless to him, even if it has a good rank. A screen appears saying that the items inside will belong to the person who owns the place, but to our hero, those artifacts are worthless, and once he's inside the tower, there will be plenty just like them. However, at least one thing is worth it, a dagger called Karlsruhe's dagger, which, although simple, has a special attribute because of its previous owner. The skill is called Holder's Will, which makes its power and attack speed increase as the weapon levels up. Yenwu is relieved to get the dagger since his old ones are starting to dull, and he believes he'll be able to finish the tutorial with the new weapon. Our hero quickly looks up while Doyle asks if everything's okay. He replies that he didn't get anything great, but didn't lose anything either, so it's fine. But then he asks someone if they're going to keep hiding up there on the ceiling, making the young man look up too. Both notice a blue portal that distorts gravity. From it, a voice says that the point of hide and seek is not to get caught, but apparently he's already been found. Merchant A appears through the portal, saying he wanted to surprise them too. Doyle is surprised to see that our hero knows the mysterious merchant, and he says just a little, leaving the merchant sad because he thought they had a special relationship. Says it's been a while since he saw that duo, ever since they bought the pass ticket. Khan agrees, clearly remembering the pain of trading in their skill points, but the only way to meet that merchant is if you're in the top 10 of the tutorial rankings, or if he comes to find you personally, which makes Khan glance at our hero. Asks that next time, Yenwu could pretend not to notice him because it's not fun this way, but if they had ignored him, he would have left. That makes him ask how they knew. Our hero offers the sword and the deed to the den for 150 tokens. The merchant notices he wants to bargain and says that price seems a little, but is interrupted by a counteroffer of 160. He says he can't pay that much, but here's 180 and says that's already too high. Yet Yenwu keeps pushing, asking for 200 tokens. Asks our hero if he really thinks he'll manage to sell those items for that price, but Yenwu just raises it to 300 and says the longer it takes, the more expensive it gets, and if he doesn't take the items, the cave will vanish, including all the items inside along with the magical refining stone. The merchant says those are easy to find out there, but our hero asks if he can find one above level 70, and if so, then he might as well throw everything away. Yenwu wonders why the reward for that quest is so small, and what the real reason is behind giving the deed to the place as part of the reward. The tower always gives rewards according to achievements, and Hargan's Lair is a place where one can obtain a high-level magical refinement stone. Those stones act as conduits for channeling magic, and high-level ones are expensive because they channel more efficiently, and one above level 70 would be absurdly costly to trade. That's why the mysterious merchants are always nearby Hargan's Lair. Agrees to buy everything for 300, but our hero raises the price to 400, knowing he could just take the stone. But mining takes time, and it's better to trade for tokens. The merchant says he'll accept, then desperately begs him to stop raising the price, or he'll go bankrupt if this continues. Our hero agrees and says he'll charge 5 more for wasting his time. This makes us swear it's the first time he's met someone more terrible than himself. A blue window appears informing that Yenwu sold the blue sword of scales and the deed of Hargan's Lair for 405 tokens. I can't believe he was swindled by a player who now totals 698 tokens, leaving the duo in disbelief. The merchant is disheartened by the situation, but Yenwu says he has one more thing. This makes it turn around and ask if he's trying to trick him again, which makes our hero say that would make people think he's bullying him, and that, actually, he wants to buy something. This makes the merchant happy, who asks what he wants to purchase. Yeonwoo points to his own mask and says it broke, and he wants another. This irritates Ace so much he clicks his tongue. The merchant says there are several to choose from, and the cheapest one costs 4 strength points. Our hero asks if that's bonus stat points, and who in their right mind would make that kind of trade, then gives up and tells him to forget it. This makes Khan shake his head while Doyle looks surprised. However, the merchant burns with pure rage over it, but with a sigh, he gives up and snaps his fingers, and says he'll make a special trade just for him, since it seems he'll have a lot of trouble with that mask in the future, but warns that he won't be tricked a second time. The merchant hands over a new white mask that only reveals the eyes. Ghost's white face. The user will be surrounded by an energy that makes them imperceptible. It won't fall off easily, and any damage to it can be restored using dead spirits. Our hero puts on the mask while the merchant fiddles with something at the portal. As he places the item on his face, Yeonwoo feels as if it's merging with his skin, and the part about not falling off or being damaged is what he likes most. A window informs that he equipped the ghost's white face. Our hero thanks him for the mask while the merchant sarcastically comments that at least he knows how to be grateful. But he quickly remembers something and says there's one more thing. The mysterious merchant asks if Yeonwoo wasn't being a bit bold by claiming the magical refinement stone, and questions if he sold it knowing what's happening on the other side. Our hero asks what he's talking about, and it says, "Forget it. I was wrong." Yeonwoo knows a stone like that can easily be used to refine artifacts, and since the cost remains constant, the price is fixed as well. However, even knowing that, the merchant bought it at a high price, which means the demand for magical refinement stones has increased. The number of rankers hasn't gone up, which means there's only one possible reason. A large number of artifacts are being upgraded, which means war. The merchant ended up confirming this, and the battle between clans and rankers inside the tower has become more intense. Khan asks our hero what the plan is now. That leaves him confused, and he's asked again what he's going to do from here on, now that he can move on to Block F since he has so many tokens. Yeonwoo knows he's gone up in rank from 150 to 52, but there's still a long road until he reaches first place, and there's still one thing left to do: the monster that lives in Block E, the best hidden piece in the tutorial. Yeonwoo decides it's time to face the creature, and says he's not going to Block F. That makes Khan excited and asks if maybe they could, but before he finishes, he's cut off by our hero, who says there's a place he needs to go. That leaves the redhead confused, who asks for clarification, and is told that yes, that's right. Doyle, excited, begins to say that actually, they were thinking about whether our hero might want to join them. That leaves him confused, and the young man says it would be until the end of the tutorial, but actually it will be until the end of everything. Excited, he says they talked about it, and that they have great chemistry as a team, that their roles complement each other, and asks what our hero thinks, and that if they form a team, but Yeonwoo cuts him off, saying he can't do that. Doyle asks why, and our hero replies that, as he said before, he has something he needs to do. The young man says they can team up again later, but is interrupted once more, and Yeonwoo says he never wanted to form a group and doesn't like forming social bonds. That makes Doyle sad, but Khan says there's nothing to be done. Everyone has their reasons, and you shouldn't force things on others, especially if it makes them uncomfortable. In the end, he asks if they'll at least leave the place together, and our hero simply nods in agreement. With an awkward smile, Khan says it's better if they get going. There must be people waiting for them outside. Yeonwoo walks through the swamp, thinking that the place is vast, and that's why it takes so long to move through it. It's necessary to watch every step. If you step in the wrong place, you can start sinking. The swamp will hold you until a lizardman shows up to finish the job, and that's why he accepted to travel with the duo until they get out of there. And the other players are always after Khan and Doyle, knowing that trying to leave on their own means the end for them. Yeonwoo asks what they plan to do with those people. Khan says they can't do anything. They'll just have to take them along until they get out of the swamp. Our hero says they're not obligated, but gets the reply that it's called human decency, and asks how he could leave them to fend for themselves. Still, Yeonwoo questions that, especially during the tutorial, and always thought they were way too naive, even though they seem so indifferent. A man approaches Doyle and asks if they have anything to eat, and our hero knows they're too nice, and that will be their weakness. In a place like that, scavengers gathered to take advantage. He keeps watching the young man hand over food and apologized for not sharing it earlier. Yeonwoo understands they won't listen to him even if he warns them, so as soon as they leave that place, he's going to part ways with them. After some time traveling, someone meets the man who had the idea to rob the duo, and tells him, Eden, that he brought what he asked for, and that the kid just handed it over when he asked, which makes the man smile. He already suspected it would turn out this way when they decided to take responsibility for so many people from the start, but he didn't expect them to be such easy targets. The first part of the plan is to steal their belongings while Brandon attacks the three, and they're idiots if they think it's just about stealing some tokens and artifacts by dividing their attention. And just taking their stuff isn't enough since their opponents are people ranked 3rd and 11th, plus the player who faced the Lizard King. Eden believes that if they manage to eliminate the three, taking first place won't be just a dream anymore. He remembers that during the journey, there were a few moments when their eyes met, but he's not sure if it was a coincidence or not. Still, Eden is a little cautious about our hero, and as he notices the delay from the others, he feels something's not right. He believes that those cold eyes behind the white mask are like a goblin's, able to see through people and read what they're thinking. A man approaches the duo and says there are people not feeling well. One person says they need to go to the bathroom, while another asks if they can slow down because they're exhausted. That makes some say they give up, that they can't go on, and others say they'll just get wiped out by monsters when they leave anyway. Others say it would be easier to just die there, which makes Khan wonder if he should abandon them after giving them some tokens. Eden realizes this is the perfect moment. Brandon says everyone's tired after being confined for so long and asks if they can find a place to rest for a bit. That makes the mastermind of the plan smile, hoping they'll accept the offer because they've already prepared a special place where his friends will be waiting. There are dozens of people hidden around the area, the scavengers group, and as soon as the prey steps into the chosen zone, the trap will spring, and it will strike Khan first. Eden gets excited knowing it will be a huge gain, but then he's surprised to notice something beside him. Our hero watches him silently, and that leaves him confused about why he's being stared at. An attack becomes reality at high speed, making someone scream in fear and surprise, drawing the attention of Doyle and Khan. People ask what our hero is doing after he executes Eden. Yunwoo looks to the side, aiming to eliminate everyone connected to the person he just killed. With that, he attacks more people who scream, asking how he knew. Knowing that he was only able to deduce what they were planning because he had the heightened senses ability in passive mode. The way Eden looked at Khan and observed him, his behavior when giving orders to players, or how he tried to avoid eye contact during conversations. That made Yunwoo deduce that the man had told others his secret, and that's when, just in case, he activated the skill for a wider range. And that's how he discovered there were many people hiding in an open area. There could only be one reason for that: scavengers, people who steal from the defeated. And that's why our hero decided to act before they did. Khan quickly intervenes, stepping in front of Yunwoo's pursuit, and asks what happened for him to do that out of nowhere. Our hero asks if he's stupid or just naive, but the red-haired player questions what the hell he's talking about. Yunwoo says that if he doesn't understand, then he'd better shut up and stay put. At that moment, Khan finally realizes that they're surrounded by armed enemies, and he never imagined something like this could happen. There are multiple enemies, and Brandon is the only one unarmed and not surrounding the duo. He asks what they're all doing, and one of the men responds by calling him an idiot and saying it's obvious. They just used him. Brandon asks where they got those weapons, but is quickly annihilated as the man says that's why bait never lasts long. Khan realizes they're even executing regular players, and that makes him wonder who the hell these people are. Our hero keeps running, knowing that those who manage the human farms are the scavengers who are far more than mere bandits. Some of them even side with monsters. They trick other players by pretending to be injured and asking for help, but in the end, they kidnap them. At that moment, they take all the victims' belongings and sell their bodies to monsters, who are their criminal partners. And most players who end up in these human farms never survive. One man laughs, saying they're going to profit a lot from capturing Blood Sword and Foxy Tail. A voice comes from a pendant, saying those two are one of the strongest teams and it'll be fun to watch them break, and they probably carry many items. In the end, he says he wants the dragon sword that Khan has, but Gypsum curses him out and says he asked for the sword first. No one asks what they're talking about, since as always it goes to whoever grabs it first. Zvei tells them to shut up and says he'll handle the division, and the rest need to stay focused, not to mention they need to plan how to use the reward from the Lizard King. But he senses something is wrong when he notices they're behind schedule and asks Gypsum to send a message to Eden. The pendant goes silent for a moment. That makes Zvei ask what's happening with their partner in crime, but in the end, he asks Noin if he's still around. But the scavenger had already been executed, making the man continue calling out without success. Seeing that everyone is going quiet, Zvei wonders what's happening, since just moments ago, they were fighting over loot. However, he has a realization, discovering that enemies are attacking each of them, and that makes him tense. Even knowing his rank is 15 and that his abilities match a rank 10, Zvei becomes visibly nervous while shouting, "Where are you?" He wonders why he couldn't detect the enemy while his allies were being executed. After getting up to investigate, Zvei is shocked by what he finds. Gypsum bloody from fatal wounds. He tries to speak, telling Zvei to run, that it's a ghost. But in the end, as our hero approaches from behind the scavenger, who panics when he realizes someone is silently behind him watching. With a scream, Zvei has his life taken by Yunwoo. Elsewhere, Khan faces off against the enemies. While wondering where the people from Iran are those who wanted to make the tutorial fairer, and because of that, he doesn't understand how this is happening. One of the enemies is attacked from behind, surprising Khan. The man falls to the ground with a knife lodged in his neck. Our hero reveals himself to the two allies and quickly begins to annihilate that group of enemies who, terrified, start running and begging for someone to stop him. Doyle summons a swarm of insects that attack some of those men. Khan takes the opportunity and swiftly executes several enemies amidst the chaos and panic. Those who survived are filled with fear and surrender, begging for mercy. In this way, the scavengers fell faster than anyone could have expected. One of the enemies says they were only doing what they were ordered to and pleads with them to believe him, saying that if they wanted to live, they had to follow orders. Khan asks him how he's any different from Hargan, leaving him confused. Irritated, he asks again how they would be different from those criminals. This leaves the man even more puzzled, but Khan says Hargan cried for his family, while he laughed as he sold his own kind and enjoyed killing the survivors. Wounded, the man remembers that he is the Blood Sword, the son of a tower ranker who decided to step out from his father's shadow and earn a title for himself. Mortally wounded, the man understands there's no way Khan would be merciful to people like them. After the battle, our hero cleans his dagger while observing the duo, who are clearly saddened. Knowing you're probably shocked to realize they saved murderers instead of slaves who had been captured by the lizardmen. Yenwu believes this was their first time going through something like that, and that this kind of thing is very common in Africa, which is why he's already used to it. Some people will feel confused about human nature, and others will be furious at those responsible. But either way, they'll feel conflicted. And in moments like these, our hero knows he can't do anything for them. He can only wait for them to decide. Khan asks him how he's okay with it. Yenwu replies that he's used to it. That makes the red-haired warrior say he can't imagine the kind of life our hero must have lived and asks if everyone in his world is like him. Yenwu replies that if that were the case, his world would have already gone insane. Khan lets out a tired sigh and puts his hands over his face and asks if he can be honest, making our hero curious. Khan says he was surprised to see all those people pretending to be victims, and that honestly both of them are afraid of him. The warrior says that Yenwu must have been suspicious of those people from the start since he never lost his composure. That leads Khan to ask if our hero never trusted anyone from the beginning, knowing that means he never trusted either of them. Yenwu never planned to trust anyone in the tower from the beginning, and that's why that team and their relationship was never going to end well. He understands that those two are feeling hurt after realizing they were only seen as associates and never as friends. But it's not like he thought of them as total strangers. Khan's laughter and Doyle's warmth both had a sincere and kind atmosphere, but they each had their own worldview while our hero had his. If they can't get along, then the only choice is to part ways. Yenwu says this is where they'll go their separate ways. Doyle tries to say something, but Khan stops him, making both of them watch our hero walk away. That makes him ask what his friend is doing, but he only tells the young man to sit down. Doyle pauses, asking him what he's doing, knowing that our hero has been good to them the entire time. Khan responds, telling him to sit down, which surprises him. When he sees his friend's sad expression, Doyle is confused, but Khan says it was for the best, and asks if the young man still hasn't understood, though he remains confused. Khan looks to the side, making Doyle notice something on the ground. He asks if that ornament on the sword means something, which makes the older warrior respond that it's the symbol of the Orang group. That leads him to say it was really strange, and asks why they, or even the Azure Sword Guild, which is so focused on maintaining order, would be involved in something like that. The Azure Sword Guild supports the Orang group and is one of the top 10 guilds in the tower. They have countless people applying to join, so they don't care about new players. And because of that, many were confused when Azure Sword decided to take control of the tutorial. But no one stepped up to confront them because they don't know what the guild's real goal is. However, Khan wonders if the reason for their actions was to control the scavengers more efficiently. Doyle says they claimed the reason for creating the Orang group was to get rid of criminals while the Archie group was going through the tutorial. But Khan says he believes the truth is they just wanted better control over them. Knowing that, he didn't want to drag our hero into all that since he seemed to have something important to do. Doyle questions him but understands that his friend didn't want to interfere with Yenwu. Khan apologizes and says he really wants to go see Build, and tells his friend to head toward where Begrade is. Both of them need Hargan's crown to obtain that hidden piece, and not only will the sword help them surpass the total points accumulated by the Adora and Fant siblings, but it's also their main objective in this tutorial. Smiling, Doyle asks what his friend is talking about, and says he also wants to see the dumb look on their faces and hear what they have to say. Khan, laughing, asks how he can look so smart but act like an idiot, and that makes Doyle laugh and say, like you're any different. Elsewhere, our hero walks along a path of low grass. He suddenly stops and turns around, looking back and calling that pair of fools. Yenwu can tell where those two are going, and their plan, judging by the sudden farewell. But no matter what happens, our hero needs to head east, because if he misses this chance, he'll never reach his final destination. Yanwu wonders if he would have let the two go if they had asked for his help before they split. Our hero simply closes his eyes for a moment, but soon turns again and continues walking. Seated at a table, Build asks if Squad 2 was eliminated. A man replies yes, which makes the manager say that without a doubt, those guys are behind it. Nervously, he goes on saying he sent those people, and in the end, the idiots just got wiped out, and he lost Hargan for nothing, prompting the guy to apologize. Build darkly instructs them to prepare Squad 1. Surprised and confused, the man questions the decision. Squad 1, its members are Orang's elite, personally trained by the Azure Sword Guild. This makes the guy wonder if his boss really wants to use that squad just to take out 3 people. Build says those 3, Blood Sword, Foxy Tail, and the Masked One, easily defeated Squad 2, which means they're more powerful than expected. And this time, he's going to, surprising the man even more. Build reflects on what's happening after they gathered the sacrifices, and says they need to be careful because the people behind the duo and the masked man are powerful, which is why they need to take them out as discreetly as possible. He knows the peace and alliances inside the tower have been weakening ever since Argia disappeared, and that a war is about to break out at any moment. That's why they need to conserve their strength as much as possible before it happens, and no matter what, this has to remain a secret. The place shakes and someone shouts that they're under enemy attack. Someone calls out for Build, who asks what's going on. A frightened man says they're here, which makes the Orang manager ask who exactly is here. The warrior replies it's Blood Sword and Foxy Tail. An explosion erupts, sending debris flying in all directions, surprising Build, who sees the intruders entering the place. Khan, dirtied from combat, is followed by Doyle. The red-haired warrior looks at Build, and furious, shouts his name. That creates a massive pressure in the area, affecting 3 enemies who are forced to retreat. Build stands up while drawing his sword and smiling says, I was getting bored here in the tutorial. You showed up right on time. With that, both charge into a duel as Build asks, why don't we play a little cub of the Iron Lion? Their swords collide and the 2 warriors stare each other down. Meanwhile, on the Brown Plains, the domain of the orcs, a group of 3 local monsters patrol the area, one of them sensing something approaching fast. But our hero is faster and eliminates 2 of the monsters. The 3rd orc tries to respond to the attack, but is caught off guard, and is quickly subdued by our hero, who threatens him with a dagger, making the monster say the human is strong and beg to be spared. Yanwu says he has just one question and asks if he's seen a hunter's house nearby. Frightened, the orc says he knows where it is, never seen it, but others have, and tells our hero to go to Batri Top. However, the place is high up, and that's why they can't reach it. Yanwu has finally found what he was looking for, knowing that this person is an ally and knows where the hidden piece Akashic Snake is located, which will be revealed at the right time, in a specific place when the proper conditions are met, and our hero won't be able to find it without this person's help. He asks the orc where Baptri Top is. They say the Akashic Snake surfaces to breathe only on rare occasions and fills its empty stomach immediately. Yanwu knows that his younger brother ended up meeting that person while trying to capture the snake without any prior knowledge of that fact. He saved his brother and Archia from danger. Gallied, the first master of Jungwoo. Our hero approaches a house in the mountains. He knocks on the wooden door while saying, hello. A person appears behind Yanwu and asks who he is. Gallied isn't human, but an elf, and more specifically, a dark elf, a race skilled in the art of war. Our hero introduces himself as Cain, but the elven hunter asks what he's doing in front of someone else's house. Yanwu asks if he's Gallied and says a friend told him about him and that he's there to buy something. He says he's looking for the Undine's glass. The dark elf asks who told him that, and the name Brahm is given, who is actually an old friend of Gallied and the second master of Jungwoo. That makes the elven hunter cover his face, saying he warned him to keep his mouth shut. Our hero has never met that person and doesn't need to. With no choice and while grumbling, Gallied agrees and asks Yanwu to come inside. The house is full of weapons and hunting trophies. The dark elf places the hunted animal on the table and asks if our hero wants the item, and he says yes. Undane's glass is an artifact that contains an incredible amount of Akashic spirit energy, which is what the snake loves to eat most. However, only Gallied knows how to make that item. The dark elf asks if our hero knows it takes time to make the artifact. He says he does. The dark elf accepts the request, and a window appears indicating a hidden mission, Gallied's test, which consists of finding him 5 out of 10 times in order to pass. The reward will depend on how many times he is caught. 3 catches will grant the artifact, and 5 or more will give a bonus reward. Over the past 5 decades, only 5 people have passed this test, and if someone manages to catch him every time, they'll learn Galliad's unique skill, Shunpo, a technique that's rare even among dark elves. It allows someone to move their body rapidly and increases their stealth, making it the perfect ability for our hero. And beyond that, Shunpo can evolve into Teleport, the signature skill of All for One, the current number 1 in the tower rankings. Galliad explains the test to our hero and says it's simple. He just needs to find and touch him, and for each attempt, he'll have 15 minutes. And since there's a huge gap between their skill levels, he'll give him a handicap, saying he won't use his hands or any ability except movement skills. After that, the Dark Elf says it's time to begin, and instantly disappears from in front of our hero. Yunwoo keeps watching, knowing that Galliard is like the wind and can't be followed. However, when activating Dragon Eyes along with heightened senses, our hero is able to see a green trail left by the Dark Elf's ability, which leads to the back of one of the nearby mountains. After locating him, our hero throws a dagger, forcing Galliard to leap in order to dodge the attack. The elf is surprised by this, but Shumpo has a fatal flaw. It requires the user to use their feet to move, which means he must touch the ground. And as long as that happens, our hero's eyes will always be able to track his movement patterns. This time, the Dark Elf is on the west side, atop a dried-out tree, and knowing this, Yunwoo throws another dagger at the spot, which makes Galliard have to dodge the weapon, giving our hero the chance to grab the Dark Elf, who, sensing the approach, quickly jumps upward, evading Yunwoo's hands, and starts running again toward another location. However, Galliard is caught by the sleeve of his shirt and silently observes the situation. At that moment, our hero says this is the first of 10. After some time, a window appears saying Yunwoo completed the mission, having caught Galliard 7 times, and that he's qualified to receive the Undine's Glass, and that he may request an additional reward. The Dark Elf laughs, not believing he was defeated so easily. Galliard believes our hero is the one he's been waiting for all these years and asks what he did, since it wasn't supposed to be easy, but he's told it's a secret. In the end, he simply tells Yunwoo to follow him. Inside the hunter's house, the Dark Elf starts rummaging through some things, searching for something, and once he finds what he was looking for, he hands a pouch to our hero, who wonders how he could leave something so precious tossed in a corner like that. Upon opening the pouch, Yunwoo sees a bluish glow, Undine's Glass, a spiritual gem manifested from Akashic, an invaluable treasure for those who can use its abilities, but dangerous for those who cannot. Galliard tells our hero to be careful not to break it, and warns that if the contents leak, it'll be a disaster, but he replies that he's aware of that. Akashic is not something that should exist in the physical world, and letting it escape would cause a massive explosion. The Dark Elf hands him a brown book with lighter engravings. A blue window pops up stating that it's Shumpo, and along with it comes quick movements, which becomes stronger when the user defeats an enemy, and that our hero has learned the skill. Yunwoo feels his body become lighter as the system says he can now move faster, and that his senses have been enhanced. Now ready and with the preparations done, our hero knows it's time for the main event, and that he'll finally be able to increase his mana stat after obtaining the Akashic Snake. Galliard tells Yunwoo that there are many incredible people like him in this round of the tutorial, and now that he thinks about it, only a few were ever able to catch him. Our hero asks if others came before him, and is told that a pair of siblings did. They took both the skill and the gem just like he did. Yunwoo believes he knows who they are, the first and second place in the rankings, Eudora and Fant, and it makes sense, given how many points they have. Galliard asks what he plans to do with the gem, since he doesn't look like an alchemist or elemental user, and doesn't understand why he needs Undine's Glass. Our hero surprises the elf by revealing that he wants to capture the Akashic Snake, who becomes thoughtful at the revelation, prompting Yunwoo to ask what's wrong. Galliard apologizes, but says the snake is already dead. Our hero falls completely silent. The Dark Elf affirms that the siblings who came before already defeated the monster. Yunwoo goes to the place and finds the ground torn apart and the traces of the battle, and wonders how they even knew about that location, since only Artia was supposed to have that information. Our hero observes the area, remembering that the creature appears once every 3 days in each tutorial, usually around this time, but the battle marks seem to be at least a week old. However, something in a corner catches his attention. Upon seeing what he found, Yunwoo is surprised. The body of the gigantic snake, and he notices they took the monster's crucial parts, the venom gland and its core. Our hero investigates the remains of the monster and wonders how they managed to defeat such a creature, one so powerful that even a large group of players would struggle. That makes him question whether those two are really that powerful, or if there's something more. Yunwoo removes his mask with a sigh, and wonders what he should do now, knowing he needs to reach first place in the rankings in order to continue his revenge. But the problem is the amount of time he has, and at most, he might reach 11th place with what he has, or 8th if he's lucky. This frustrates him, as there are so many obstacles, and to make things worse, he needed the Akashic Snake's core to continue his growth. Looking to the side, Yunwoo notices something, and wonders what it is, seeing something on the monster. Noticing the large wound on the snake's body, he sees that something was removed from the skull and wonders if it was the brain. Seeing several footprints, our hero believes another group showed up, and went after Eudora and Fant. After investigating a bit, Yunwoo understands they were orcs, and he senses something is wrong, and that he needs to check it out. A window pops up showing the time left until the end of the tutorial, just over 150 hours. Elsewhere, Bayan, 6th place in the tutorial ranking, asks if he really needs to hunt. A warrior bows and says Bill has summoned all members of the first squad to act. He says he's busy trying to raise his rank, and that the boss will understand. Knowing that only the top 5 will be recognized, it's a waste of time to go around killing weaklings. But the man says it's a special order from Build, who stated that anyone who disobeys will be executed. Bayan questions the special part, and the warrior confirms it, saying the whole squad is to assemble, and that whoever completes the mission will receive all the tokens collected by Orang, which shocks the 6th place ranker. He wonders if the manager is really going to hand over more than 1,000 tokens that Orang accumulated to a single person. That amount is enough to affect the entire tutorial ranking, and it means that Build will support the person who completes the mission. The warrior says he warned them to be careful because the entire 2nd squad was annihilated, which makes Bayan question whether that means they possess those tokens too. If the targets really have them, then making it into the top 5 of the ranking won't be impossible. Smiling, Bayan says he accepts and tells the warrior to inform Build that he's heading to the designated location right now. On the Brown Plains, our hero receives a system message saying that his skill Blinking Steps has leveled up. He finds a place he didn't know existed and wonders what might be inside. Upon entering, a window reveals that he has stepped into a place called the Lair of Akashic Snake. This surprises Yunwoo, realizing he's found the lair of the snake he already defeated. Seeing the cave, our hero believes it might contain eggs or a mate of the creature, and judging by how the orcs took the brain, there's clearly a hidden secret inside. And whatever it is, it's surely something more impressive than the Akashic Snake's core. After walking through the cave, our hero is shocked by what he sees. A club strikes a drum. Several orcs are kneeling in a ritual. Atop the altar lies the brain of the giant snake. Nearby are various monster corpses prepared as sacrifices. The orc shaman shouts, "Our god, who was slain by humans, rise and return with your rage. We offer the souls of our warriors to awaken your fury upon them." One of the monsters lights a torch and throws it onto the lifeless monster corpses. Our hero watches, thinking they're insane. The flames consume the fallen monsters, and a dark energy flows into the brain of the gigantic snake, which quickly begins to grow and tremble as if something were inside it, until something black bursts out from within the brain. A black serpent emerges, hissing. The system announces that a hidden mission has been triggered. Resurrection ceremony. The Akashic Snake is being revived, and our hero must defeat it before it grows larger. This shocks him, seeing the monster being brought back to life. Yunwoo starts thinking that the outcome of this mission might be even better than the original plan, since the more time passes, the bigger the monster will become, and the stronger its core. And to resurrect the creature, they must have used Akashic or life force as the main ingredient. Just like Bathory's vampiric dagger, the more vitality it absorbs, the stronger it will become, which means it will need a massive amount of energy. And the snake will be starving, having just been resurrected, which makes Yunwoo wonder where he'll find enough life energy to satisfy the creature's hunger. Undane's glass won't be enough, which means our hero has only one option left. And smiling, he knows he'll have to find more live sacrifices. In a tribe, a figure says they can't let the world know that their king is no longer alive. Krolok, the 21st chieftain lizardman, tells a subordinate that if the orcs find out, they'll attack immediately, so they must remain alert. As the lizardman warrior exits the tent, the chieftain places a hand on his forehead, saying it's a disaster. But something strikes him, making him lose strength after letting out a short grunt of pain. As he collapses, he says there's an assassin, but he can't finish the sentence and falls to the ground. Our hero places the body of an orc beside the lizardman, thinking that anyone who sees it will believe they died fighting each other. He then casts a spell, Blazing Fire, a skill that's still low level, but enough to set things on fire. The lizardmen scream that there's a fire and that they've spotted an orc intruder. Yunwoo leaves the area, planning to head to the forest region in the west, and he wonders if he should go shake things up a bit in their cages. The flames ignited in the western forest were small at first. However, by using an abandoned kobold village as fuel, the flames quickly grew. The fire then spread to the nearby areas and burned throughout the forest. After losing their homes, a large group of goblins and kobolds began a mass migration. This led them to collide with the monsters in the surrounding areas, and to minimize the damage, they began to avoid certain regions. The confusion spread throughout the block like a domino effect. A goblin hurriedly enters a tent, calling for his chieftain. Seated on a wooden throne, he corrects him, saying he's a king, not a chief. But before he can finish the warning, the monster is shot in the back. Granon, the Goblin King, asks the goblin next to him if he's sure the orcs have appeared, and he replies yes, more than he can count in the orc village. That makes the Goblin King say that the monsters may not understand the reason, but goblins never forget a grudge. Another soldier enters the tent calling for his king, saying the kobolds want to form an alliance to take revenge on the orcs. This news makes the king say he will meet them and exterminate all his enemies. In a place with dry trees, the two sides meet, and the kobold king says orcs are sworn enemies who murdered his king, and they want revenge because they were also attacked. A kobold soldier says they are in the same situation, and his king states that trolls and ogres are also suffering and offers a brief truce. Granon says they accept, and that the lizardmen are going to war against the orcs, and that they, the brave ones, should be there too. Raising his weapon to the sky, the Goblin King calls for his soldiers and allies to follow him and that he will execute the Orc King. The kobolds raise their fists, saying they will follow Granin to avenge themselves and annihilate their enemies. A window appears saying that our hero has managed to start a war among the monsters in the region and will be rewarded with additional karma. Jung-woo watches from atop a tree as the two tribes run off to war. A surprise mission appears, Monster Rush, where the player must survive the chaotic war and find a way to end it, and this excites our hero. The rewards are the title Monster Hunter, Eye of the Goblin King, Monster's 5-colored gem, and additional karma. Jung-woo believes that the Akashic Snake will resurrect faster if there is a lot of life force nearby, and that if the lizardmen are included in the war, the monster will be the largest ever seen. Smiling, he observes the game board ready and says he'll only get involved when necessary, and until then, we'll just watch the show. In the Brown Plains, a group of players gathers. Bayan complains, asking why there are so many useless idiots there. Another man answers him saying he's no different from the rest. That makes the two stare at each other, and Crassus asks if he has a problem and what he's going to do about it. Bayan replies that he's getting too full of himself and challenges him to a fight. Crassus smiles, asking why not, and says they can go one round right there. Dyke interrupts the fight, telling them both to stop acting like children and suggests they should complete the mission as quickly as possible. He says he heard the target is near the orc village and suggests they finish this fast and get out. But a noise surprises the man. Bayan asks what it was, and Dyke asks if he heard that. The ground begins to shake, and both notice it as they see a rock trembling along with the earth. Bayan is confused while Dyke wonders what is happening to cause such tremors, but a man calls out to him, telling him to look. The man points to a crowd approaching on the horizon. The forest monsters charge forward in a mass of rage and fury. All the players there are shocked by what they see. Without wasting time, Dyke tells everyone to run. The goblins yell for the humans to get out of the way, and that if they don't, they'll be executed. Some want to attack the group, while others just want to pass. Those who don't move in time are cruelly attacked by the monsters. Bayan strikes back, defeating one of the monsters while mentally complaining that this shouldn't be happening. He says his dream upon entering the tower was to become one of the swords of the Azure Sword clan, and this makes him determined not to be defeated so easily by these weak monsters. A goblin appears behind the player to end his life. He throws his axe at Bayan. It catches him off guard as the weapon is far too fast. The massacre continues, with the monsters thrilled by their victory over the humans. In the orc village, warning cries are heard with the beginning of a lizardman war, who passed through the northern wall. Forak, the orc king, asks why they're being attacked now and what the reason is. One of his soldiers says he doesn't know, but the enemies are accusing them of having assassinated their king. Furious, Forak asks how those crazy lizardmen dare to do this right in the middle of the resurrection ceremony for their god. However, he pauses and gets an idea. They might be able to get more sacrifices for their god. That makes the orc king Forak smile. He gives the order for his warrior to go and warn the shaman to be careful, and that they'll soon bring more sacrifices. The orc stands up and says yes. The orcs desperately try to defend the wall with all their strength and shout for carts to be brought to block the enemies. A troll lifts a large boulder above his head, and then slams it quickly against the stone wall. That brings the fortification down, revealing the orcs who weren't expecting it. Forak approaches the battle with his sword, but is surprised to see Granin standing before him, smiling, saying it's been a while since they last met. Filled with rage, the Orc King strikes. The Goblin King wastes no time and charges head-on at his rival. The battle between both sides intensifies with war cries. Among the mountain peaks and rocky formations, a trail of green energy appears. A window notifies that the level of the skill Shumpo has increased. Yenwu keeps advancing like the wind through the area. In a spot between rocky cliffs, there's a hidden entrance. Our hero lands near the place and enters the cave, the Akashic Snake Lair. At that moment, a loud noise surprises him, and he turns. He knows that those two must be fighting by now. Granin the Goblin King versus Ferak the Orc King. Both are boss monsters whose levels are on par with Hargan, and since they're facing off, the fight won't end easily. And that means the tension of the war will escalate, causing greater destruction and turning the situation chaotic. Our hero moves deeper into the lair, knowing that because of this he needs to deliver the Akashic Snake as fast as possible to a place filled with prey. The serpent devours one of the orcs, begging for mercy from his god, while others say the monster is enraged and that it's punishing them. The enormous snake spits a jet of acid at one of the orcs. Right after, with its massive mouth wide open, it strikes another of the monsters nearby. Yenwu watches, knowing the creature is in a frenzy of hunger, and that since it hasn't been long since it was resurrected, it's starving and won't be able to restrain itself upon seeing the battlefield. The snake strikes again, but this time it dives into the ground, managing to dig through the stone of the cave. Our hero descends to the spot where the creature is digging. Yenwu places his hand on the cave floor and is able to sense that the creature is heading toward the war. And that's perfect. That thing isn't called a hidden piece for nothing. Surely the monster is hiding something grand. Facing the Akashic Snake is so difficult that it shouldn't even be in the tutorial, which means there must be a reason it's here. Even Galliard, who chased it for so long, never discovered the monster's reason for being here, and whatever it is, it surely isn't trivial. Yenwu begins looking around for a place where the snake can rest and stay safe from the outside world. Our hero enters a cave with frozen walls, feeling the icy air of the place. He finds a child, with leaves sprouting from its head, sitting on a rock while meditating. A humanoid mythical root. A window confirms what that being is. Our hero knows these beings are the rarest among the divine roots, and he's heard it's an extremely potent herb and didn't expect to find it here. Drawing 2 daggers, Yenwu believes the reason the Akashic snake was resting here was to cultivate that root. Judging by its size, it must be around 300 years old, and the effectiveness of the mystical herb peaks at 500 years. The monster was waiting. Our hero moves in to steal that mystical item, knowing the serpent was unlucky since he's the one who'll consume the root. At that moment, the mystical root opens its eyes, surprised by Yenwu's presence, who is equally surprised. The being jumps incredibly high to get away from our hero, who quickly throws 2 daggers, knowing that the mystical root can't go that high in such a tight space. The weapons hit the cave ceiling, passing close to the mystical herb. Even so, the humanoid root falls sitting on the ground. And with no way out, it lets out a massive scream at our hero, who, unfazed, says to the creature that it's not his first time hunting things like it. The mystical root doesn't understand any of what was said. The cave ceiling starts to crumble above the mystical herb. In the end, frozen stalactites fall onto the humanoid creature, taking it by surprise. It quickly jumps to the side to dodge, falling right into our hero's trap as he approaches to grab the mystical root. Yenwu grabs the stem at the head of the humanoid part. Darkly, he says he's got it. The mystical herb tries to break free, but slowly it begins to lose its human form and starts to transform, revealing its true plant-like nature, and at that moment, our hero puts on the mask and devours it. Windows appear saying he has consumed the hidden piece humanoid mythical root, and that its divine power is coursing through his body, enhancing his magical abilities. Other windows say that a large portion of the divine power is being converted into magical power, and that his body has started to absorb it. More windows appear indicating that his bodily awakening has resumed and has now passed 40%. This causes our hero to evolve from immature to half-dragon's body and gain the skill magic circulation. Yenwu still struggles to control the magic, but now somehow he can sense its flow through his body. The ability allows the user, the more mastery they gain, to control more spells and even manipulate mana flow itself. Smiling with confidence, our hero feels the ascension has reached a milestone. Many players perished on the battlefield with horrific wounds. Bayan opens one eye to assess the situation. With effort, he gets up and sees that the first squad has been wiped out. However, Bayan realizes the direction the monsters were heading must be where the target is, and that the target surely has something planned. Even with heavy wounds, he gets up, believing all of this is because of a hidden piece, and probably the biggest one discovered so far in the tutorial. Enraged, Bayan, unaware of what our hero is planning, decides he will set up an ambush and steal what he obtained, thinking that if he can combine the mission reward with what he manages to steal, he'll have a real shot at catching up to Adora and Fant. Furious, he is determined to go after our hero. Our hero opens his status screen, confirming what he had already discovered. The secret to controlling magic is gaining more magical power and progressing in awakening. And the only time he had used magic until now was when activating his skills, but now he has many more options, like when he enchanted his weapon with magic to boost its power, or focused magic on his feet to increase his movement speed. However, Yenwu knows that controlling the magic flow perfectly won't be easy just yet, but maybe by using heightened senses, he can gain mastery over it quickly. And that controlling magic might also affect his senses, but something interrupts his thoughts as he looks at the ground. A pendant in the middle of the frozen cave. It's golden, all scratched up and with some parts dented. A window appears displaying the item's name, a necklace full of memories, saying it would be good to return it to the owner, leaving our hero curious about it. He picks it up and opens the pendant, revealing a photo. Yenwu recognizes that it's a picture of Galliad's family. No one knows why the dark elf was hunting the Akashic snake for so long, and still he rarely hunted the creature alone, preferring to offer his skills as rewards to those claiming to be hunters. But if the reason was to retrieve a sentimental object that carried memories of his family, then what he was doing made sense. Yenwu knows his brother's journal never mentioned Galliad's family, and this must be what he was searching for all along. Our hero puts the pendant in his pocket, and once again puts his white mask on his face, deciding it's time to go hunting. The war between the monsters and the orcs continues with full force. Forak attacks his goblin rival, who defends against the strike. A great tremor leaves both of them confused about what's happening. At that moment, a Akashic snake emerges from beneath the earth in the middle of the battle, causing Granon to be startled and ask what that strange monster is, while the Orc King wonders where his god is. The gigantic black serpent looks at the monsters, who are terrified by the creature. Its enormous red eyes lock onto something. Then, ferociously and swiftly, it begins to chase down everything and everyone, devouring them. The Kobold King is caught, and his soldiers rush to avenge him. However, Akashic Snake spits out its acid, annihilating them. The orcs say it's punishment from God, while Granon becomes terrified and decides to flee. Forak asks where the goblin is going and says he should stay and fight like a warrior. He replies that the safety of his clan is more important than honor. That leaves the orc king furious, and he immediately commands his soldiers to calm their god. The orc warriors charge forward to fight the gigantic serpent. Taking advantage of the fact that the snake is focused on the approaching group, Granon appears from behind and strikes it with his axe. The powerful blow lands directly on the monster, wounding it and making it hiss in sheer pain. Forak takes the opportunity and runs toward the Akashic Snake. He attacks his own god, managing to land another deep wound on the monster. Meanwhile, our hero just watches the entire battle from hiding, thinking it's a complete mess, and that everything turned out even better than expected. Only a tenth of the monsters are still alive, and because of that, the Akashic Snake has grown much larger than it was supposed to. The two kings are acting as the vanguard to push the snake back, while the rest of the monsters inflict minor wounds with their weak attacks. That won't last much longer. The goblin and orc kings are already at their limits. Seeing this, our hero decides it's time to prepare the end, and activates the magic circulation skill. He activates Shunpo to gain speed, also increasing his mastery over it. Yunwu lands on the monster's head, and activates the devouring ability of Bathory's vampire dagger. Black energy envelops his hand. At that moment, several windows pop up, announcing the increased mastery of that weapon. As the gigantic snake hisses in pain while being drained, more messages appear indicating that his stats are rising rapidly, until finally, a last window notifies that our hero has defeated the Akashic Snake and earned additional karma. That makes several notifications appear, indicating he completed the mission's resurrection ceremony and monster rush, gaining 300 more karma. Yunwu raises his dagger and strikes, successfully collecting the Akashic Snake's core, which should originally be the size of a fist, but is now much larger after consuming so much life force. At that moment, the black energy once again appears in our hero's hand. He smiles behind the mask, and in a dark tone tells the core to be devoured. The system announces that Yunwu has consumed a large amount of Akashic essence, and that his magical abilities have started to increase. A great amount of poison spreads through his body, causing his magical skill to begin growing again. Other windows appear, saying that due to the excess of essence and poison, it will take a long time to convert everything. As a half-dragon, he cannot absorb all the magic, so his body will undergo a transformation and the awakening process will be resumed. All of this causes our hero's eyes to turn red as the transformation percentages increase, and it is recommended to cultivate magic in a safe place. If he takes a heavy blow, he may fail or lose the awakening. The estimated time is 15 hours. The two kings watch our hero, but Forak finds it hard to believe what he's seeing. The leader of the orcs, even injured and exhausted, continues to glare at the human. Seeing that, those eyes behind the mask are the eyes of a predator, Forak finally understands that the human is the one who caused all of this. That makes him furious, and with his sword, he charges at our hero, saying it's his end. Yenwu knows those two kings are as strong as Hargan, and because of that, both will give a great amount of tokens and karma when defeated. With a single devastating blow, Forak is defeated. The system confirms our hero's achievement in defeating a boss monster, and that he earned additional karma. After executing the Orc King, our hero begins approaching the Goblin King, who, upon witnessing the scene, doesn't know what to do against the human. However, seeing no other choice, the monster decides to fight for his life. A window appears indicating that our hero defeated Kranon the Goblin King and gained additional karma. Yenwu knows that only two options remain for the monsters to survive. Either resist until the end or flee. Our hero chose not to pursue the ones who ran because they were too weak. A goblin appears behind Yenwu and attacks, but he quickly turns around and effortlessly eliminates the enemy, making sure to deal with all who resisted, draining the life force from each one of them. As he absorbed the monsters, our hero grew stronger, making his body's awakening progress even further. There was no end to his greed, devouring as much as he could, because he would do anything to become stronger. Yenwu, after absorbing hundreds of monsters, feels exhausted. He would love to rest in a quiet place, but there's still one annoying guy left, and knowing that, our hero tells him to come out of hiding. Bayan smiles, realizing he's been found. He reveals himself and asks Yenwu, "How did you know I was here?" Our hero replies that only an idiot wouldn't have noticed his presence since he failed to control his emotions. Bayan feels the tension and smiles, saying that Yenwu is a monster. He had been watching everything since the Akashic Snake went berserk. Bayan wants to take all the power our hero possesses and all the hidden pieces he holds. The player points his sword at Yenwu and says he's going to take all of that monstrous power for himself. Our hero asks how he plans to do that, and the player says to stop pretending. He knows Yenwu is too exhausted to do anything. However, Yenwu says, "Then, I'll ask again, how are you going to take them?" And that he's not alone here, leaving Bayan confused. Without time to defend himself, the player is struck by an arrow. Our hero turns to look at Galliad, who observes him from atop a rock, with a serious and cold stare. The dark elf descends and says he was wondering why the forest suddenly turned chaotic, and asks our hero if it was his doing. But he laughs, saying it's perfect timing that Galliard arrived, because Bayan was right. He's too exhausted to do anything now. That makes the elf ask what's so funny. Yenwu wonders if it's fate or just coincidence, but it seems like now he'll be able to rest. So he calls out to the elf, who asks what is it. Our hero hands him the pendant, saying it's a gift. Galliard is surprised to see that item, but the moment he takes it in his hands, he's stunned to see Yeonwoo faint, realizing he'll never understand what goes on in our hero's mind. But he believes Yeonwoo is telling him to repay the favor for the gift. A window appears saying the skill-reinforced body has evolved into gold plate body. Another informs that our hero managed to convert 94% of the Akashic essence and poison into magic. Yeonwoo continues sleeping while the changes keep happening. Two windows appear, stating that he has become stronger, but the awakening cannot proceed and stops slightly above 90%. At that moment, our hero begins to open his eyes, which reflect another information window, informing him that his state has changed from half-dragon to incomplete dragon's body. More and more windows appear endlessly before him, but Yeonwoo looks at his own hand, seeing that even after absorbing so much, the transformation isn't complete, and he wonders just how impressive the dragon blood really is. He realizes his stats also skyrocketed after all that battle, and that his mastery of magic circulation has increased significantly, even though he just learned it a day ago. Our hero extends his hand, now surrounded by magic, and notices his magical veins. He keeps channeling mana, until he starts flexing his hand, thinking that sensation is strange and yet familiar, like he's gained another arm. However, he had heard there's a big difference in magical efficiency depending on how it's used, and now that he can use it, he decides to test ways to cast offensive magic. And his senses have become sharper, his eyes more sensitive to light, and it feels like his nose will go numb from all the smells, just like when he used heightened senses. He also feels something similar, like the Undine's glass, but Galliard approaches, asking if he's awake. Upon seeing our hero about to get up, the elf says he must have just woken up, and that his senses will take a while to return to normal, and that leaves him confused. Galliard says he helped quite a bit, and Yeonwoo asks what he means by that. The elf asks if he did something to make his body stronger, and says that Yeonwoo asked for help, needing a safe place. Our hero responds that he's right. Galliard surprises Yeonwoo by saying his methods were wrong. Confused, our hero asks what he means, and the elf says he consumed too much of the serpent's core, and asks if he had consumed something of equal difficulty beforehand, something hard to digest, and before finishing it, he consumed more. That's why he asks if Yeonwoo thought he could withstand it, and says he knows he's going to claim he had a plan, but he was on the verge of failure. Yeonwoo understands what Galliard is trying to say, that he did something to prevent him from dying, and he knows that the elf is a hunter recognized even among dark elves, so it wouldn't be surprising if he also knew healing skills. Galliard says he did a few things and only managed, because Yeonwoo had no magic, or it would have been difficult, but it's better not to try that again until he becomes a true dragon. However, Yeonwoo believes he didn't need the help since he has a contract with the dragon and would have managed anyway, as he was in the middle of awakening. But Galliard didn't know about any of that, and finding his pendant made Yeonwoo his benefactor. That's why the elf couldn't abandon him. Yeonwoo asks if he stabilized the magical disturbance and altered his magic flow. Galliard says he used the Undine's glass he gave him, preventing his body from exploding, using the same method to create them, and asks if he knows how much work that took. Yeonwoo thanks him, but the dark elf asks if saying thank you is enough. Our hero says he'll come back to repay the debt, but Galliard tells him not to make promises he won't keep, and that if he can already talk that much, then he's fine now. The dark elf says there's one more thing, making Yeonwoo curious. With a softer tone and an expression of gratitude, Galliard says, "Thank you." Now using his pendant, gleaming like gold after having been repaired. Undane's glass is one of Galliard's secret abilities. That makes our hero wonder if the item was originally meant to be used on the body. And he reflects that despite the overwhelming magical force, Galliard managed to control it, and that his body and senses evolved beyond expectations. He considers himself lucky. The elf quickly tells our hero that he needs to rest for another 4 days to fully recover. But Yeonwoo uses Shunpo and leaves, making Galliard talk to himself, saying he'd only be able to move if his regeneration rate were insanely fast. Watching that, he gives a sheepish smile, knowing no one would believe him if he told them that the hero had been bedridden and seriously wounded just moments ago. But seeing the use of the skill, Galliard wonders how Yeonwoo became so good with it, like it was something innate to him. Our hero wonders, while using Shunpo, if this is what it feels like to use magic. All he did was focus on his feet, and he didn't expect such a massive difference when using the skill with and without magic. Statistically, it's only a 1% difference, unless he's been using movement abilities efficiently until now, and that makes him wonder what it'll be like once he completes his awakening. After a jump and mid-air flip, Yenwu lands on the ground with no problem and opens an information window, remembering that he completed 2 missions before passing out. Yenwu decides to accept the hidden mission reward first. The system says it grants him a black bracelet and that its name is Black Bracelet, but the name is incomplete. That makes our hero confused, unable to identify the item's full name. However, it belonged to the Akashic Snake's master, who kept it hidden, awaiting their return. It possesses the Soul Reaper ability, and Yenwu understands it's something morbid, as it allows him to steal the souls of his victims. The screen says souls have no memory or strength from their past lives, only resentment. This gave birth to another ability, Black Blade's Edge, which converts a soul into black magic. Our hero wonders if the former owner was a demon, seeing that weapons imbued with souls cause curse when they strike a target. Another window says he can't view the artifact's information, making Yeonwoo realize it's something truly powerful and unique. Several screens display nameless and sealed abilities. Our hero equips the item and believes the bracelet's true power lies within, and it may be something similar to the original owner's power. At that moment, black magical aura rises from the bracelet and climbs up his body to his face, surprising Yeonwoo. The energy begins to take over his eyes, until finally they turn completely black. The system says the bracelet allows him to see dead souls, and that his Dragon Eyes ability allowed him to use the item. His mastery has also increased. Our hero looks ahead, seeing several ghosts in the area. That makes him wonder if those are the victims of both him and the Akashic Snake, and if they've been there this whole time. He's surprised he hasn't been cursed yet. 2 spirits turn upon noticing Yeonwoo, and immediately become furious upon seeing him. But our hero believes this is actually for the best. This way, he can test the artifact. He quickly attacks the ghosts as they try to dodge. However, one of them is caught and absorbed by the bracelet. After that, Yeonwoo decides to test the Black Blade's Edge. The sword and his hand become covered in a dark aura that resembles black magic. These dark attribute spells increase the user's attack power and inflict curse on enemies. One of the best in terms of offense. Our hero continues moving through the area, and in his test, he makes a horizontal slash through the air, which creates a massive destructive wave of dark energy. This is better than he expected, and judging by the corrosive damage dealt, each attack must have the curse attribute. Yeonwoo wonders if that's the bracelet's power alone, so how would it be if used together with his other abilities? He captures 2 more ghosts, and soon has 5 of them trapped inside the bracelet. Our hero begins to use the item's power in his hand, summoning a black sphere. At that moment, he casts Blazing Fire, which makes contact with the dark magic, and surprises him with what he sees in their combination. A huge explosion erupts in the place where our hero was standing, but he was fast enough to escape. Seeing the crater left in the rocky ground, he's sure that explosion could have easily annihilated an orc or lizard man, and that was the power of just 5 souls. This makes him wonder what would happen if he used all the souls he still has stored. After collecting them all, the system notifies him that he now holds 150 of them. Sitting atop one of the mountain peaks, our hero becomes thoughtful, whether he can split the power among attacks or if he has to use it all at once. But either way, it's good to have a powerful explosive attack saved for later. At that moment, Yeonwoo begins reviewing the Monster Rush mission rewards, knowing there should be 4 in total. The title says he can hunt monsters more efficiently, but those he defeats may curse him. This answers his question about why there were so many in that area. It also increases his stats and gives a small chance to cause a fatal explosion when hunting monsters, but also a high chance of provoking them. Yeonwoo notices that he also received the Eye of the Goblin King as a reward, a gem and amulet. Whoever uses it will be affected by Cranum's rage in various ways, and even though it brings bad luck, if it can be controlled, it will be a powerful tool. Goblin King's resentment grants 2 positive effects to the player under a bravery buff, increasing attack power by 1/10 and greater resistance to curses and poisons. Yeonwoo understands that it will raise his attack power and resistance to curses and poisons, and he believes it would be great to use that item together with the bracelet, as resentment and curses empower the dark attribute. That gem, Monster's 5-colored gem, is unique and contains the resentment and abilities of each monster race: goblins, kobolds, gnolls, lizardmen, and orcs. Our hero likes the fact that it enhances each of his senses, where his eyes, nose, and ears will enhance heightened senses, while his hands and feet will improve Shumpo. This makes Yeonwoo smile, thinking it's as if those items were made for him. Inside a house filled with crates and weapons, someone thanks him for the help. Galliard asks if our hero is planning to head to Block F now, and he answers yes. The Dark Elf says that makes sense, since he's already gotten everything he could from here. But he already knew Yeonwoo wasn't like the standard players from the moment he saw how efficiently he used Shumpo, and that he reminds him of someone from the past. That makes him wonder if our hero might be connected to that person. Everyone who enters the tower has their own story from the past, and it's that story that determines how they move forward. If it weren't for that, they wouldn't have had a reason to abandon their own worlds and enter this difficult game. Oh, by the way, says Galliard, surprising our hero, as he places a sword on the table and says that before leaving, he should take it. Yenwu asks what it is and is told it's a good weapon that belonged to his last opponent. The dark elf tells him to use it, but if he can't, to sell it to the mysterious merchant, since it's worth a lot. Our hero knows it's truly a great sword, but his main weapons are all light arms like daggers and short swords, so he decides he'll just sell it as suggested. Galliad, curious, asks how Yenwu ended up as an enemy of the Orang group and informs him that their central base is in Block F, so things are going to get a bit more tense from now on. Our hero is surprised by this and asks what he's talking about. The dark elf looks confused and asks if he wasn't going after that group, and he points out that the banner on the sword is the symbol of Iran. This shocks Yenwu, who realizes they weren't just the scavengers, but Orang from the Azure Sword clan. He remembers that his brother and Argia dealt with that group. Then Orang appeared along with the human farm organization, followed by the disappearance of Can and Doyle. That makes our hero think that if Orang's true objective is to hide that they command the scavengers by claiming they're protecting the public, then the duo must have gone to confront them after realizing that truth. Can and Doyle are strong enough to protect themselves, but if the enemy is the Orang group, then everything changes. There are many players in Azure Sword, and there's no way to know how many powerful people are involved in the plan. A top 8 clan, and maybe they don't stand a chance. That faction has already clashed with Argia before, which means they'd be ready at any moment. If the two had managed to take down the Orang group, rumors would already be circulating in Block E, but that's not happening, which means they were either captured or executed. Our hero closes his eyes thinking about Can and Doyle, and wonders if they would be considered close or distant associates, if he even wants to get involved in this or not. These questions make Yenwu remember the moments with the two of them, how they always laughed together, full of energy. Our hero keeps remembering and thinking, but in the end he asks himself why he's even contemplating such an idea. And besides that, he remembers one of his brother's messages, where he said, "Brother, you were always my hero. I hope my pain doesn't change the kind of person you are." Yenwu takes his brother's pocket watch, knowing that was the last thing Jungwoo said in his journal. That makes him realize his decision was already made. There were 5 swords that ended his brother's life. 3 of them belonged to people known as kings. 1 was from the person he loved, and the last sword came from the one he most believed to be his friend. Later that night, Yenwu talks with the dark elf outside the hunter's house. Galliad asks if he's chosen to go to war. Our hero asks how he knows, and the elf replies that he used to be a battle maniac too, came from a warlike tribe, and can see the signs. That's why. Looking at Yenwu reminds him of how he was in the past. His attitude and piercing eyes say he's ready for war, and the atmosphere around him is just like when they first met. But now it's as if our hero has a powerful conviction, and if someone like him can't notice that difference, then it's like being blind. Galliad asks if he needs his help. Yenwu thinks that if the dark elf went with him, the fight would end quickly, since he's as strong as the Rankers. He could even defeat Orang by himself. However, our hero says it's fine. Galliad asks why, and Yenwu replies that this is his war, knowing that the objective isn't rescue, but rather continuing his revenge for his brother, and shaking the Azure Sword clan is a step toward that goal, which is why he'll never hand this task to someone else. Our hero decides he will handle this war with his own hands. Galliad says it won't be easy, and Yenwu replies that things like this never are, which makes the elf nod in agreement. In the end, he wishes our hero luck, who silently turns around and starts walking away, wondering why the Azure Sword clan would continue building human farms. And honestly, doing that isn't efficient, but if their goal was to steal artifacts from players, it would have been easier just to rob them. Yenwu keeps questioning why they'd go so far to do something as boring as those farms, especially after Ardia already dealt with them before. That makes him realize something is suspicious, and that it must be something big, unknown to the public, and if he can discover what it is, he might use it for his own plans. Smiling, Yenwu thinks of using that against the Azure Sword clan. The 8 clans hurt his brother and Artia, but in particular, one of the people who pierced his brother's heart is part of Azure Sword. Our hero knows it's sooner than expected, but it seems his war is about to begin, and if that's the case, he needs to be fully prepared. Yenwu looks at a screen to check how much time he has left, noticing that there are less than 4 days remaining. That's why he'll need to take down the Orion group in 3 days and finish the tutorial with the time he has left. Our hero decides he'll throw them into panic by attacking non-stop, giving them no time to rest, and when they're exhausted, he'll strike where it hurts most, directly at the group's headquarters, leaving no one alive. Yenwu decides he'll end everything in just 1 day. Block F, Orion Group base, someone asks about the location of a certain individual. The messenger says they still haven't located him, and as they know, Block E is vast. Build says that man always creates trouble wherever he goes. Unexpectedly, he weakened Orion with Monster Rush. The first squad vanished, the scavenger group was destroyed, other members disappeared, and the newcomers went missing. Build realizes that at this point, the group is destroyed, and all the work they've done over the years has vanished completely. It's like an execution sentence. Build becomes tense, knowing he has to revive Orang somehow before the people on the island notice. There are still 3 days left, but he knows it'll be impossible to rebuild everything in such a short time, and once the tutorial ends, the truth will come out, and he won't be able to avoid punishment. If that's the case, then there's only one solution: complete it. Bill believes that if he succeeds, he'll have a guaranteed place among the powerful, since that man was serious when he said he needed it done. And the only reason they haven't completed it so far is that the process is exhausting and the required materials, whether players or monsters, are always in short supply. Something pulls Bill from his thoughts, surprising him. He remembers that they'd just gotten their hands on high-class materials. The masked one, the manager of Iran, wonders if there's a way to take advantage of our hero, who might be behind everything that's happening. The messenger says they've discovered that the target is heading to Block F. Bill gives the order to search everywhere in the block and bring the target to him immediately. After confirming the mission, the man leaves, leaving Bill deep in thought, certain that he'll have to use all the materials he currently has. Someone approaches slowly. 3 men enter a dark room, and the manager of Orion asks 2 imprisoned people if they're okay. Blood Sword and Foxy Tail, who are severely wounded and chained. Khan grows angry upon seeing that man, and asks if he still has something to say, or if he thinks he hasn't threatened them enough already. But Bill says he came only to say one thing, revealing that both of them will soon become materials for a stone. This confuses Khan, who asks, "What stone?" The reason Orang and the scavengers joined forces to eliminate players was to create a product through experimentation, something that never should have existed. Bild says that originally they were going to melt them down into essence, but now they're out of time, so they're lucky their pain will end sooner. That enrages Khan, but the group's manager signals to a man at his side, and with that he leaves the room, leaving the 2 warriors chained to the wall. Khan doesn't fear his end, knowing it's his own fault for being stubborn and attacking an entire group head-on. But, looking at his unconscious friend beside him, thinking of Doyle, he feels guilty, since Doyle is a good guy who left his home and followed him, trusting him like an older brother. Because of that, Khan wishes he could do something to free the young man and let him live, but he knows that's useless, and that fills him with deep bitterness, seeing he's in the same situation as in the past. Meanwhile, someone approaches. A massive tremor shakes the whole place, surprising both Khan and Bild. It leaves the Orang manager confused, wondering what's happening outside, since the structure was built to withstand earthquakes. One of the warriors shouts, reporting an intruder outside. Bild, irritated, asks where this person is and wonders why, of all times, it had to be now. A massive explosion creates a black cloud with flames rising into the sky. A warrior uses magic to create a magical shield, while several others shout to hold the enemy, and some ask where he came from. Standing before the group of players is our hero, silently watching them. His eyes shine with a blue hue, as if he were staring at mere prey. Yenwu activates the skill Goblin's Feet, and dashes at high speed toward the players. One of them is caught off guard by our hero's speed and is quickly struck, and eliminated with no difficulty. The eye-shaped pendant swings and points in a direction. A screen appears, warning that the Eye of the Goblin King has sensed danger coming from a hidden location. Several swords fall, piercing the ground, but our hero swiftly dodges the attack. Yenwu stares down 3 warriors who are shocked he evaded it. Without giving them a chance to react, our hero activates Black Blade's Edge and attacks the new enemies, quickly reaping their lives while a window shows he now holds 115 souls, which rapidly rise to 118. The remaining players start to flee in fear, shouting that our hero is a monster. Yenwu forms a sphere of pure black energy in his hands and hurls it, imbued with flames, into the middle of the enemies. One of them notices the magic but doesn't understand what it is. But that's the last thing he sees. The sphere explodes in the middle of several players. 2 warriors don't understand what just happened and ask what our hero did, but that makes Yenwu turn and stare at the 2 who asked the question. Upon seeing the cold gaze fixed on them, both become terrified. Our hero begins to approach, saying that if they won't come to him, then he will go to them. A voice shouts, ordering Yenwu not to move. He looks to the top of the wall and sees 3 silhouettes. Bild appears, accompanied by more players. The 2 players, upon seeing that the Orang manager has arrived, become excited and celebrate that they're saved. Bild, seeing our hero, asks if it's him again, Mask, and that he was wondering where he, a rat, had been hiding. But now, enraged, he demands, "How dare you come here?" That causes Bild to release a massive pressure toward our hero, who wonders what that is, feeling that the man's presence is familiar. But he's sure he's never seen him before and would certainly never forget that aura. However, our hero is shocked when he realizes who the man is. He remembers his brother's words. "There were 5 swords that pierced my heart. 3 of them were from people called kings. 1 belonged to the person I loved, and the last sword was from the person I believed to be my friend." Yenwu remembers the name Leont, the one his brother saw as his best friend, the one who betrayed him, stabbing him through the heart. That traitor was always surrounded by a group of players he called brothers, and among them, one of them was smiling while his brother was being stabbed. That man was Bild, which makes our hero furious. He decides, releasing his battle aura, that this will be his first gift for his brother. The Orion manager calls for Grant, someone at his side, who promptly answers. Bild tells him to send a message to the island saying the strange man appeared asking about Orion. However, right after the warrior confirms the order, an explosion hits him, shocking the group's manager. He looks to his side and sees the result of the attack that executed the warrior. Our hero tells them to stop wasting time and come at him if they're going to attack, and that they better not think about running. Build replies, drawing his sword fine, and says that judging by the way he made a frontal assault, he must be pretty confident. The ground cracks beneath his feet. With a leap, Build charges at our hero, saying he'll show just how useless his power is against him. The Orang manager swings his sword, but Yenwu blocks using his daggers. Build follows with a second strike, but our hero dodges by ducking, and quickly counters with an upward slash, but his enemy narrowly evades. Yenwu knows Build is one of the top offensive focus players in the Azure Sword clan. That makes him wonder why someone like him is in the tutorial and part of Iran. That group, the Scavengers, the Azure Sword clan, the Human Farms, Build, and that man behind Build. After stabbing his brother, Leon joined the Azure Sword clan as an executive, but he grew frustrated for not being able to work directly with the leader. Someone like him always has schemes in motion, and Orang exists to cover up that scheme. Our hero realizes the pieces are falling into place. Yenwu unleashes a flurry of high-speed attacks, but Build, though struggling, manages to defend, and as soon as he finds an opening, he swings horizontally. But our hero dodges with a jump, causing his opponent to think it's impossible. Our hero mercilessly stomps on the enemy's face. Build is left confused, thinking Yenwu was nothing more than an amateur who had just acquired his abilities. He recovers from the blow while our hero gains ground. With his nose broken, Build wonders how Yenwu can face him so easily. Yenwu smiles under the mask and says he understands that his opponent is terrible in a fight, which leaves the warrior confused. Our hero continues, saying that even if Build seemed to have been good in battles in the past, he questions if Build's claws dulled from spending too much time with mere dogs, and the warrior wonders if his opponent knows him. Observing Yenwu in a firm stance, Orang's manager mentally questions who he is. Our hero decides to activate his magic to the fullest. In his eyes, the frightened face of Build is reflected. A loud explosion occurs at the battle site. The warrior coughs, revealing that he's been injured. He clutches his irreparably damaged arm. Our hero slowly approaches his enemy. Build looks up, indignant about his defeat and suffering from the terrible pain in his arm. Several warriors appear, telling Yenwu to stop and that they'll protect their leader. However, our hero activates the power of the bracelet on his weapons, and without mercy, swiftly executes them all with the black blade's edge. He simply watches the players fall to the ground, then continues to advance, making Build tremble in fear as he tries to flee and begs for someone to stop our hero. All the players shake in fear while the manager keeps ordering the warriors to stop him. Now, says the terrified Orang manager, activating a chip, which leaves everyone in a strange state. Build has activated the Control Puppet's ability, something he had never used before, and is in disbelief that he's using now. The controlled players march toward our hero, covering Orang's manager, who uses the opportunity to flee, knowing he needs the stone. And with it, he'll be able to eliminate our hero. But Yenwu simply watches him, unfazed. One of the players receives a fatal attack from behind. Our hero has executed all the enemies on the spot, seeing that this is the end of the Orang group. But one of them still remains, Build. In the Orang-based prison cell, Khan asks what's going on outside and complains about being unlucky, not believing he's about to be buried just when he wanted a memorable ending. Doyle asks what he's talking about, and says he's the one who's unlucky, and that he was just captured while following him around. Khan asks if Doyle thinks being arrested was lucky, but Doyle says he was just trying to keep him company and cheer him up since he's always unlucky. The warrior asks if Doyle is rebelling, and the young man says he promised to rebel before his end, leaving Khan incredulous because Doyle always said he was a good younger brother. Khan gives up, not wanting to argue, and asks what our hero must be doing right now. Doyle says he's probably already crossing Block G without their help. This makes the older one say that if he had known things would end like this, he would have told our hero where the hidden piece was so he could use it instead of them. At that moment, a voice speaks, surprising Khan, "You can still tell me." The cell door opens and a shadow is revealed to both of them. They are shocked and in disbelief when they see Yenwu appear. Our hero says the two of them look miserable. Doyle asks why he's there. Yenwu says he just stopped by while passing through. Khan thanks him for the help, even knowing they parted on bad terms. Our hero says that if Khan is truly grateful, he can still share the location of the hidden piece, which irritates the warrior because Yenwu is always trying to get an advantage in everything. But in the end, he smiles. However, Khan feels his whole body aching and wonders if he'll be able to get out of there alive. Doyle believes they'd just be a burden to our hero if they tried to escape in their current state, and even if they're grateful, it's better to be left behind. The older of the two says they'll clear the place out, but Yenwu says there's no need to worry because everyone has already been executed. Khan is in disbelief and asks what he's talking about, and if he destroyed the Orang group. Doyle, smiling, also asks if our hero took care of all of them. Yenwu replies that in a way, yes. Khan gets irritated and asks why he answered Doyle but not him, which makes our hero turn his face away, making the warrior want to punch him. But Yenwu says that Build is still alive, which surprises Khan. He asks if the Orang manager didn't come down there, and our hero asks him if he knows what's below, knowing there were rumors about a secret in that place. Khan says he's not sure, but whatever they're planning, he knows they're creating something using the lives of players. The trio walks through the empty prison, showing signs of prisoner mistreatment. Our hero wonders if this is a human farm, and that they hid this one very well. Yunwoo smells the strong scent of decomposing bodies in the place and wonders how many people were imprisoned there. But he's certain there were more people there just a few days ago, and questions if they've already been discarded. The greatest material for alchemy is the human body and soul. Processes that include those materials were banned in the tower for being too dangerous and costly. Still, our hero wonders what they were creating that required so many bodies and souls, and that they only care about the objective, regardless of the methods used. Build is nothing but a treacherous rat, and now all Yunwoo needs to do is eliminate him, since Kan and Doyle are free. A noise catches Yunwoo's attention. When he looks to the side, he notices several ghosts watching him. They are the souls of the sacrificed players. Our hero asks if they want to help him too. The spirits react eagerly, showing they want revenge. Yunwoo says that if that's the case, he has only one condition, and smiling beneath the mask, he asks if they're interested. Elsewhere in the facility, Build enters a room filled with flasks and glass bottles. Exhausted and in great pain, panting, he tries to reach something glowing. A black stone resting on a cushion atop a stone table. Build, trembling, brings his only hand to the stone, wondering how long he spent creating that thing. His companions rose through the ranks during that time, while he stayed there, patiently waiting. He wanted to prove to the king that he was the subordinate worthy of serving him. Build looks at the stone in his own hand, and puts it into his mouth, knowing that now his survival comes first. Leon had told him that just by swallowing the stone, his magic would increase greatly, but one of two things would happen. He'd either explode from failing to control the magic or undergo transformations. He also said that a complete stone had no risk of causing an explosion. That's why the goal was to create a stone as close to the complete form as possible. But something draws Build's attention. He feels something's wrong. Something should have already happened. He asks what's going on and wonders why nothing happened, questioning if he forgot something. Why? Build asks himself. Then he's startled when our hero asks if that's where he managed to crawl off to. Yunwoo watches him like a predator watches its prey. Build turns to face him. Our hero asks if that's the stone they made and says it doesn't look like much, and says things don't seem to be going the way he expected. That makes the warrior wonder why it's not working. Frustration consumes Build, and he asks our hero, Why are you tormenting me like this? What did we ever do to you? What kind of resentment do you have against us? No matter what we did, it's none of your business. Why do you have to interfere in our affairs? Yunwoo questions why he's even asking that. Our hero takes off his mask and lets it fall to the ground while asking if he wants to know about his resentment. Build stares in disbelief at our hero's face, who asks if that answers his question. The warrior's eyes reflect Jungwoo. As he looks directly at Yunwoo, Build can't comprehend what he's seeing and thinks it's impossible. Our hero begins to walk toward him, saying they probably have no idea. Smiling, he keeps speaking, saying how much. He wanted to see all of them again. His expression and face make Build wonder how Jungwoo could be there. Our hero learned many things during the investigation. After his brother died and Arshia fell, the tower went through changes, especially because the Alliance's objective had been fulfilled. The power in the tower shifted. The survivors from Artia went their own way, achieving what they desired. Because no one was left in their way, our hero wanted to believe that at least one person felt remorse for what they had done. But unlike Jungwoo, they all felt that the decision they made was natural. Build, breathless and wounded, begs for Yunwoo to execute him. Our hero says it's a shame because he always does the opposite of what people ask him to do. Build pleads once again, but Yunwoo says that many of his friends are looking for him. He snaps his fingers, summoning something that causes giant black skeletons to appear in the air, shrouded in dark energy. The souls have been empowered by the black bracelet, and they swore loyalty to him in exchange for revenge against Build because of the unjust ends they met as sacrifices for the stone. The skeletons approach the target of their grudge, leaving the warrior terrified. One of them gets close to his face, scaring him even more. Build says he told our hero everything he wanted to know, and begs to at least have a peaceful end. The monsters draw even closer as he cries and begs. The souls finally get the revenge they longed for. Outside the prison, our hero observes the scene of the conflict, seeing that he's finished what he had to do there since there are no more Orang members left and the base has been destroyed. He notices something ahead of him that catches his attention, a dry blackened body on the ground. Yunwoo crouches and wonders if Build was trying to escape, and that even while begging to be executed, the warrior still wanted to live. The body slowly starts turning to dust that scatters in the wind, revealing something that was inside it. The stone that Build had created and swallowed. An item that cannot be identified, which makes our hero understand it's something he can't use, and items like that are just junk in Block F. Yunwoo wonders if Orang eliminated so many people just to create this failed product. Our hero knows he can't leave it behind and decides to take the stone with him until he figures out what to do with it later. The moment he touches the item, A strong light shines from the stone. Yenwu is curious about the strange phenomenon. When the light fades, the stone begins to dissolve as it enters his hand. The energy travels through his arm and reaches his chest where it stops, making our hero wonder what it is. He realizes that the thing doesn't move even when he tries to push it with magic, and that bothers him. At least he can now see more stats, but many are still question marks, and the item is listed as sealed, making him wonder if that's all he'll be able to find out. A window says that it's a unique artifact. Only one of its kind exists in the tower, so it cannot be identified, and it is sealed because it's incomplete. At least Yenwu is certain of one thing about the strange item. The stone is not a failed product, but an incomplete one that needs another process to be complete, and until then, it will remain stored near his heart without affecting him. Our hero doesn't feel comfortable with it being like that, but there's nothing he can do about it. After that, he looks to the side, where he fought against the Oranguru. Seeing the destruction caused there, he understands that it seems his business there is done. Later that night, on the Brown Plains, our hero says they can come out of hiding now. The duo appears and smiles when they see Yenwu there. Han says he always felt that our hero is on another level, which makes Yenwu ask what he's talking about. The warrior smiles, saying he didn't hold back, and asks why he went all out like that even though they had different goals. But Yenwu says nothing, just gestures that he doesn't know, which makes Khan ask if he's going to keep playing the mysterious guy and not say anything. Doyle asks what happened to Build. Our hero replies that he's no longer alive. That makes the young man smile and say that it's a relief, but the smile on his face quickly fades. He can't believe the Azure Sword clan would do something like that, and he wanted to be the one to take Build down himself, but the truth is he wasn't strong enough to do it. And that's why he needs to keep going to become stronger, since there's no way to know when he'll need to face a powerful enemy again in the future. Khan notices the anguish Doyle is feeling. The warrior sits on the ground, saying that all the enemies have been eliminated and they just need to go a bit further, but his body feels strange after walking a few steps. He calls out to his friend, who asks what's wrong. With a smile, Khan says that maybe this is as far as they'll be able to go. Doyle doesn't understand at first, but soon gives an awkward smile and agrees. Khan asks what our hero's plans are now and if he's going to block G, to which Yenwu replies that he will, if he can. The warrior tosses a heavy bag to Yenwu. Our hero is surprised by what he sees inside the bag. Inside are Hargan's crown and several tokens. Khan says it's everything they've collected so far, and that they don't need it anymore. Yenwu replies that if he's trying to pay him for the help, then he doesn't want it and doesn't need that. Khan says it's not what he's thinking, and explains that they're thinking of retiring now. That revelation leaves our hero surprised and confused. Khan explains that while he was destroying everything, the two of them talked and decided they can't go to Block G in their current state. They'd be overtaken by weaker players and wouldn't climb the rankings. Doyle says that's why they decided to drop out this round and try again in the next one. And honestly, there's no reason to keep going unless you're in first or second place. Yenwu knows this since the reward for first place is massive. Our hero realizes something in their conversation and asks if it's possible to try again after dropping out of a previous round. Doyle is surprised and asks if he didn't know that. He explains that there are multiple tutorials, which is why so many players push themselves to the limit just to grow strong enough to enter the tower. The news shocks Yenwu, who had believed all this time that a player only had one chance at the tutorial. The journal also didn't mention anything about it, and that frustrates our hero. He's stressed out over nothing, to the point of calling his late brother an idiot. However, tutorials don't have a fixed date or time, and the tower will initiate one only when it senses the need. So no one knows for sure how long they'll have to wait for the next tutorial to begin. Yenwu thinks at least it was fun, and that he got Build. That makes him smile beneath the mask, knowing he met good players. Our hero asks if they're telling him to take that and go, and Khan asks if that wouldn't be better than them throwing it all away. And with a dark aura, he says he feels that if it's Yenwu, then he'll be able to beat the crap out of Fant and Adora. Doyle asks if he knew he was looking seriously scary just now, but the warrior responds, "Shut it, shorty." That makes him question how he can ask our hero to do something just because he can't. Khan says it's the only way he'll feel satisfied, but Yenwu thinks about the names. He's heard those two names many times before. They always appear at the top whenever he checks the ranking. That makes him serious, knowing he'll probably face them in Block G. Yenwu asks what those two are like. Khan, holding Doyle by the collar, looks surprised by the question. The warrior answers that they're monsters. He says he's tried several times to surpass them, but those two are true monsters. What he's really trying to say is that Yenwu should go ahead and steal first place, since they're giving up their positions. He asks if that isn't a good trade, though the goblin's eye senses danger in that. Our hero smiles beneath the mask at the idea of being able to take first place, and says he'll do his best. Khan says that's how it should be, and that's what they call honor, friendship, and sportsmanship, and that's what he was hoping for. Doyle just thinks he's insane, while the warrior cheers for Yenwu. Our hero puts Hargan's crown on his head, but his new, really weird appearance makes the duo burst out laughing. Khan says he looks hilarious, and Doyle says he can't stop laughing. Yenwu knows from the system window that he still has 2 more days and 1 more block to finish, so he's going to have to rush since he doesn't have much time left. 8 hours after parting ways with Khan and Doyle, our hero knows that the hidden piece for Hargan's crown lies deep underground, hidden in the thorn mole's nest. He began by eradicating the monsters while making his way to the location Khan and Doyle gave him, where he had to face the dungeon boss in the final room. A gigantic monstrous mole with fur as hard and sharp as thorns. An underground battle. It was strong enough for Yunwoo to think that maybe he only lasted longer than the Akashic snake, and that if he didn't have the attack buff from Hargan's crown, he might have been buried alive or devoured by the monster. After a tough battle, our hero defeats the monster, left tired and breathless. But then he looks ahead, toward a sword on an elevated platform. It's embedded in a rock like a legendary blade. Yunwoo grabs the hilt of the weapon, a relic called Vigrid, and pulls it from the rock, understanding that this was the trump card Khan and Doyle were planning to use to surpass the siblings Fant and Adora. Our hero observes the relic in his hands, a broad two-handed sword. Meanwhile, someone laughs while watching through a screen, saying that he's truly a greedy player. Ibolkar smiles, seeing that our hero defeated the Akashic Snake and the Orang group, and now managed to get his hands on Vigrid. A player who started late, monopolized hidden pieces, and wiped out that group. The goblin can't stop watching him, thinking he's someone interesting. He wonders with great curiosity what our hero will do with less than 12 hours remaining in the tutorial, and that these things are truly exciting when he's the only one who knows everything that's going on. Ibolkar says those security cameras can't be viewed unless someone holds the highest rank among all managers, and that he's heard of managers being fired for making deals with players. He activates the lock on the footage, saying sealing them should be enough. That gets him excited, and he wonders if now's the time to watch the ending. A screen appears stating that our hero has entered Block G, the end of the tutorial. The place is just a long stretch of floating stairs leading to an island in the sky. He observes the place, understanding that he's finally at the final stage of the tutorial. The system says the test has begun, making Yunwoo notice that the information is the same for all blocks. Players can challenge each other in the area, and the more he challenges, the more points and karma he'll earn. Our hero understands this is clearly a PvP stage, and that's why it becomes chaotic, with people staring at one another. There are two things Jungwoo said about Block G, that it's both a test like a battle royale and a madhouse. Our hero understands this is a place where the best players are forced into a single arena, and because of that, it's a place where the rankings can easily be overturned. Upon reaching the top, Yunwoo notices something strange up ahead as a large amount of energy circulates through the area. Other players, armed, watch what's happening. This makes our hero wonder what's going on as he senses a powerful energy farther ahead. One of the warriors says they're monsters, and another asks how beings like them could be in the tutorial. Someone lets out a loud, intimidating laugh full of excitement. A man dressed in white clothing releases heavy pressure over all the players, saying it's funny how they're all trying so hard to stay standing. Behind him stands a woman with a black horn protruding from her forehead. Our hero senses her presence and calmly analyzes the two of them. A slightly exposed canine tooth sticks out of the man's mouth, purple hair, golden eyes, and black horns growing from their foreheads. That confirms to our hero that those two are Fant and Adora, members of the Horn tribe.
Our video ends here. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, bye bye.